Welcome back to the Aviation Podcast. You found us. My name is Joe.
And I'm Matt.
We're here to be with you along your journey and to share our experiences in RC aviation. If you have any questions, thoughts, or want to share a flight story, hit us up at aviationrcnoob@gmail.com. Now, buckle in.
When they see it, they're like, holy snot. Like, how? That's all foam board? And you're like, yeah, that's all foam board.
I would definitely like to hear more about those jets.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, they're that's being modest. Sir, that's being modest.
That's fair. Yeah.
All right.
You're right.
All right. All right. So, welcome back to the Aviation Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Allen. We are at episode 105. We're going to talk about Flite Fest recap, which is why I have a bunch of our special guests here. And we're also going to talk to one of the last special guest I'll introduce. He has built some amazing larger scale jets that I think people all recognize. And then there's a bunch that are experimental that nobody recognizes, but he's done an outstanding job. And we're going to talk to him about how he comes about those. So let's introduce our guest today. We have a returning guest, Brian Phillips, from before many episodes. I think we get like 3 or 4 now, right?
At least.
All right. So say hello, Brian.
Hello. Thanks
all right. And then we have Travis Charboneau from our last episode. I took him up on his offer to he's like, hey man, anytime you want to talk about Flite Fest or just anything, come on, give a call. I said, okay, absolutely, let's do it.
I never thought you'd take me up on that.
Are you kidding me? Another opportunity? Oh my god! And, yeah, we'll talk about your mentor in a moment, but yeah, we'll get into that. And then below me on this little video, you're going to see Craig. He's recording us. I couldn't get rid of him, but he's going to serve. He's going to serve me some good by being our logo. And then, of course, and more importantly, our very special guest, Jarrod Roetenberger. He goes by Zephyr1 on the Flite Test forums and on our Discord server, as well as a bunch of other places, I think RC groups, right?
Yeah.
Jarrod, why don't you say hello, introduce yourself a little bit, tell everybody about you.
Hey, guys. My name's Jarrod Roetenberger. I'm an engineer in my day job. I've been working on RC airplanes for about 10 years-ish, and I've been doing flight test level designs since 2016-ish. I think my first my first interaction with Matt was on the Flite Test forum during the World War II build challenge back in 2018, which was a great time.
Yeah, it was the experimental aircraft. It was the planes that never saw the light of air. They never either got built or they never actually got flown in World War II for whatever reason. And so that kind of left and at first I thought, oh, that's not that many planes. And I started really getting into it and realizing that's about 3 times as many planes as that were made in World War II.
Yeah. I think we allowed stuff that had flown, or Rocky Boy allowed stuff that had flown, but nothing that had ever seen combat. So there was some late war stuff that was allowed. There was some really early war stuff that was allowed. It was really cool. And the flying flapjack that won it, that Local Fiend and Dan did. Oh my god.
That was incredible. They did such an amazing, and that, to me, that was like the very first time I think anybody really saw
I absolutely think it was, yeah.
The like curved foam board.
Yeah.
That you could really make that airfoil shape and those curved nacelles and the cockpit even, that you could like take it and you could do. And I know there's a couple people who already knew how to do that kind of stuff, but he was one of the first ones. I think he was one of the first ones with like a CNC cutter. He'd be like, or a laser cutter that I knew about. And he's like, oh, because he ended up creating something for like a Halloween one. He created like a sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, and the cuts are ridiculous. And so if you're doing it by hand, I hope you have like 2 weeks, right?
Forget it.
Yeah, just hold on. Let me get a little, like all the little cuts and like he's got a CNC laser cutter or a needle cutter or something like that, where he's just like, I will just put it in there and I'll see if that one flies today, and I'll let me do another one. I'm like, dude, that's going to take me a week to just get put together, cut out, let alone put together, But yeah, so it was really cool what he was able to put together, and I think I agree. That was our first time really kind of setting those challenges, and at that point it kind of set me on fire to really come up with new designs and innovate.
Yeah, when that challenge came out, I think I had designed one airplane by myself before that, and that was literally just an F4F Wildcat that I took like the Flite Test Spitfire and I just modded it to make it look like a Wildcat. But
Nice.
that was the first
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Really good. Anyway, so welcome to the podcast. Welcome to I'll call it my neck of the woods. This is what I've been doing for the last handful of years, on and off with my buddy Joe. Joe can't be here today. I talked to him. He's like, dude, I haven't even been there. I don't even know what I talk about. I'm like,
Yeah,
you
he
sure
didn't
you
make it
wouldn't
this
just?
year. He didn't make it, did he?
No, he couldn't make it. He was moving.
Oh,
He had
that's
just
right.
moved into a new house like the week before. So that's
That's a pretty good excuse.
it's one of the better excuses I think I've heard.
Yeah.
It was almost the one I used. But I was like, no. And by the way, I'd like to give a special direct thanks to Brian here. He was the one responsible for goading me just that little extra I needed to get up to FliteFest and join everybody this year.
It was worth it. I got some free ice cream out of it. So
Oh, it was awesome. No, I really appreciate
I'll
it.
talk you into going anytime for free ice cream.
Yeah, no
Right?
kidding.
Well, okay, so that's maybe that's the next podcast, like ice cream and airplanes. That's the next. That's what we're gonna do. Just talk airplanes while we eat ice cream. All right. Anyway, I digress. All right, so why don't we get into usually are the format of this podcast is we talk about the things we've been working on for the last week or so, and just kind of talk about some of the nonsense that we've been up to. And why don't we talk to Jarrod first, and then we'll kind of run to Travis and Brian. Brian, you just had a night out flying, so I know you at least have something to bring to the table.
I literally just came running in from to join this. So
what about you, Jarrod? Were you just kind of reconstructing half of the planes that didn't quite make it all the way back from FliteFest?
Oh, yeah, a little bit. It's kind of been all over as of yet because where I'm at in Cincinnati, we've had storms for the last week and a half or so no flying possible. But I've been working on a decent number of things. There's that little Messerschmitt fighter that I've had for a couple years now. I've been taking that apart and sketching that out to make the plans good. I've been working on a V22 tilt mechanism. So trying to use smaller servos in the nacelles.
Wait. Are you talking about that? I'm thinking. Did I hear F-22 or F?
Sorry, V22, the Osprey.
Oh.
Yeah, so I did an Osprey a few years ago, and I used OpenAero VTOL software for it, and it worked well enough, but the transitions were really rough. And the PID tuning on that older-timey flight controller, I say old-timey because it's from 2012 or so.
Like a KK board?
Yeah, it was a KK2 board. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that wasn't so great. So my plan is to reconstitute that and finally get the transition figured out using DREMFlight's code that he's been using.
Right.
That stuff's been great. And I'm trying this time to, instead of using larger servos inside the booms to get a 1-to-1 gear ratio for a 90-degree transition, to instead use smaller servos in the nacelle, only do about 40 degrees of travel, so plus or minus 20 degrees, and then one larger servo in the fuselage itself that rotates the whole carbon fiber rod.
Okay, so kind of. Okay, that makes sense. So you only have two smaller motors fighting the torque.
Yes.
The spinning torque, as it were.
Yeah.
Do you need any photos or? I know a gal whose son is an Osprey pilot actively now.
That'd be
I don't
cool.
know if he can get you photos, but if
I don't know.
need them, let me know.
Okay. Yeah, one of my best friends is an A-10 pilot, and he has been few and far between on photos getting sent.
Yeah. No, I mean, I recognize like there's a lot of hoops to do,
Yeah.
So I don't know how many, he can really even do, but I mean, what's the worst that could happen? He says yes and he can.
Right. I mean, you don't know until you ask and you get shot down.
Right. Otherwise, we're where we're at now, which is like looking up stuff online,
Exactly.
No, cool.
And then only other thing, is the Arado bomber what I really wanted to do, because that flew really steady, and I know it's an EDF, so I usually don't do this with these, is putting in a Pixhawk flight controller and giving it a waypoint mission so that I can
fly to New York from Germany.
Not quite.
We'll talk about that a little bit more, because that's
Sure.
a plane I'd like to just touch more, maybe some history about it, but
putting a Pixhawk in so that I can get a waypoint mission set up and ready to go for it, and then actually fly a drone myself and get some cool chase footage of it, because it flies really steady.
Nice.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So why select the Pixhawk as opposed to maybe an iNav board or something like that? It's more like they're both equally easy to get, I guess.
Because I bought the Pixhawk about 5 years ago, and it's sitting in the drawer.
It's like, I have that kid in my lap. So
yep.
That's fair.
Nothing against the iNav boards. They're pretty cool looking.
Well, I was just kind of curious as to why. Like, is there a reason why you went with that system over there? There's some people, they have a very specific reason if they're going with iNav, right? Like, I think iNav does VTOL transitions easier, and there's one other thing they do. I thought they did waypoint missions. Or they do like auto hand launch simpler.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they
like
do
they handle that better
job
than
with the
Pixhawk.
takeoffs. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas Pixhawk does better full missions, I think. Like they do, but if you wanted to do from ground up and back, I think iNav does better with that. They each have their strength. I can't remember what they all are, but cool, dude. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm finally gonna get a working VTOL foam board airplane. That's the full goal at the end here.
Okay. All right, good, nice. Travis, what about you? Thanks.
So I was strolling through. Everybody probably gets RC Aviation magazine or something like that. And I seen an ad or something come out where like the Hobby Zone Champ. Anybody remember the little yellow Champ? They came back out with those things like a special anniversary edition, and the local hobby shop says, "Man, I got 2 or 3 of them in." So I went in and picked one of those things up. And I fly with a group of guys on Sunday mornings. So, man, I just went out and rocked a little Champ for a little bit. But other than that, and like we talked about on the episode, I got a biannual flight review coming in. So I went and flew a little bit this morning in the real plane, and just did Chandelles and Lazy 8s and whatever to get ready for that flight review. But just went and burned an hour, and I don't know. It's just like it's one of those things when I don't know if any of you guys are real pilots, but say that loosely. But anyhow, man, when you get in that plane and it's something else, and it's just like you're jazzed for the whole day. It's crazy. It's just something that you can't explain, and it's just like I went and did steep turns and power on, power off stalls, and a couple my three full stop taxi backs, and took care of all that this morning. But man, it's been some weeks, and you realize just how rusty you get. That takeoff, and then you get that lateral movement, because we had this morning when I took off, it was about 7 knots, and then when I came back an hour later, we had about almost 14-15 knot crosswind, which is
that's a limit.
Yeah, it's a limit in that. It's a limit in that plane. It wasn't a direct, lateral figure. It was a left quartering headwind, but it's enough to make you push on those pedals really hard. So
yeah, and sweat a hair.
Yeah, and you absolutely kung fu grip that yoke, and just ride her out, and it was kind of cool coming back in, a little bumpy, and it'll make you do a go around, and it's just but. So it's just one of those things, man. But I was jazzed the whole day, and so went up and had my breakfast with my folks, and it was good, man. So that's basically what I've been working on. I know I got that biannual flight review coming up, and just sometimes it's just those little simpler planes that can give you so much more excitement than But then there's the complexity of like Jarrod. Oh my gosh, that's talking way outside my level. You know what I mean? But anyhow, so that's what I've been working on.
No, that's really good. I'm a real pilot as well. I'm about halfway through instrument rating training,
Well, we like to call it full scale pilot for those
Full
of us.
scale pilot.
You know what I mean? Like
I don't know.
some
I
of
think
us like to
Travis.
think we're pilots,
I think Travis
although
was
just
right.
really small stuff.
Yeah.
All in favor? Show of hands.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know what you mean by real pilot. I say real pilot, but I mean, I'm not trying to insult anybody, but
No. I'm being a pain in your butt. It's okay.
but,
What is
yeah.
what
As
is the
somebody who
real?
exclusively flies toys, I resemble that remark. No,
Right.
But
was
so
that
you're
question?
working, so you're working on you're halfway through your instruments, your IFR.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Nice.
it's been
Go
a
ahead.
lot. I
Yeah.
missed the views. I missed the freedom, I guess, of VFR, but this is making me a way better pilot than I was before.
You
For
think
sure.
so? I mean, in all honesty, on that, I mean, because I'm not instrument rated, and I was going to go right into it, and it was another 25 grand,
Jeez.
and it was just like I've always heard, and my instructor, still kind of one of my best friends, we became friends in the plane, and still just we talk all the time. He's full on private commercial charter
Sure.
jet. By anyhow, long story short, he goes, I'm going to tell you something. And he goes, I don't want to offend you in any way, shape, or form, but he said, you're twice the knowledge testing than you are from a VFR to an IFR. Does that seem right?
Yeah,
with what
that's
you're
right.
doing?
The IFR is hands down the worst knowledge test to take.
That's what he said too.
I have not taken it yet, but
Right.
everything I have heard is that it is double the knowledge. For me, the big reason for the IFR rating I wanted to get was endorsement. Sorry, rating. Endorsement's wrong. Is I felt comfortable in the plane. I could fly it well. I wasn't afraid of any of the actual flying, but what I was hesitant about was the airspace, ATC, holding patterns, doing any cross-country flying, any of that magnitude. I was a lot more hesitant to accidentally get somewhere that I shouldn't be. And I think instrument rating is gonna take care of that.
What area of the country are you flying out of?
I'm flying out of Cincinnati.
Okay, because I mean we're all from different spots in the world, right?
Sure.
Travis, you're out near what is it,
Kansas
Kansas?
City. Yeah, Kansas
Right,
City.
Kansas City. I'm in North Carolina. Brian, you are up in Michigan.
right area. Yeah.
Right, Detroit. And then, so yeah, I mean, you get different airspaces. When you're in Ohio, it's not too far to get to the really hairy East Coast mess.
Yeah, there's the East Coast stuff that's close. We have a decent number of air bases. Wright Pat is on my doorstep. Yeah, there's a little bit more controlled space than, say, Missouri. Sorry, Travis.
No. Well, so yeah, you're absolutely right, because I dated a girl up in Cleveland and did some flying around up there, and it was just crazy. It was like 7 airports within a half a mile of her residence, and it was just So I actually flew in and out of Burke Lakefront, I think is what it was, up there in Cleveland. But yeah, it's crazy. Airspace can get you in trouble real quick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, a lot of handoffs.
Yeah, and then you gotta be quick, because the rules, Jared. It's just like, man, you get behind that plane, and it's hard to get back on top.
Or are you doing the quick turnaround? I'm doing it like there's a wheel in the car, and it's not. But
So, did anybody pay attention to anything that went on to Oshkosh this week, or just see anything like that? Did anybody pay attention to that? Or
I mean, are we talking about a specific instance, or are we just talking Oshkosh in general?
well, just like so,
you're
I
talking
guess
about the landings.
No, I'm talking about like the ATC, the crowd control, basically, of the
Yeah.
ATC there. And it's like they had an old gentleman flying in. I was watching on it, and he was all over the place. He was spaghetti noodling it all around there, and they tried to defer him, and he finally got over. I think it was Gardner Lake is the main entrance into whatever, I don't know, the runway up there, but it was pretty funny to watch the ATC and the sat nav or whatever they call it, but he was just noodling it all over the place, and they're calling him, and they finally just like shut everything down because he was coming into Oshkosh regardless. But did you see that, Jared?
Yeah, I saw the video and I saw a few memes
I imagine there's a couple.
So yeah, so
you sure he
what
wasn't
Jared-
trying to write his name in cursive
oh
when
my
you look
gosh.
at the flight plan?
Yeah, so I've done that. Have you done that, Jared? Write your name in
I
your.
no,
Oh,
I
you
can't say
have?
I have. No,
Oh, I
yeah.
absolutely have. Yeah, when I got the freaking ForeFlight and got that bread tracker crumb thing, and actually wrote my name, on the. It's just, it's great. Yeah, it's something my instructor taught me, and yeah, you laugh about that, man, but it's actually kind of fun to try that. But
God.
you don't do that over controlled airspace, but yeah, you do that out in Kansas City, Missouri, and stuff like that. Places like that. So,
You got miles and miles before you run into anything where somebody cares much.
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, Jared's absolutely right. And I was going to do the IFR thing. And, Ohio has quite a bit different weather than we have here in Kansas. And it's just like every time I go up there, it's cloudy or nasty weather. And it's just like, it's called the soup. And it's just like, man, I think I'm just going to be a VFR. And I don't want to, because correct me if I'm wrong, Jared, you get a flight plan from IFR, you're stuck on it. Right. And they'll push you right on through the clouds.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, no, 100% through the clouds. I mean, you can request a deviation from it, but yeah,
You're
that's
pretty
what
much
you're doing. And,
you're
and
pretty
that
much
was the other reason. I'd really like to do some longer distance trips, right? Up to
right.
Michigan, up to the UP, right? Cleveland area, Mackinac Island from Cincinnati, any of that, flying around Ohio, like
Yeah.
love to not be. I would love to not be super weather dependent on that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, so then that
There's
throws in the fact of if your airplane is adequate and equipped to handle that kind of a weather situation, right?
Sure, yeah.
But yeah,
But for
so
IFR, that's mostly your minimums for altitude, right? So
right.
your weather minimums there at the base of the cloud layer, and then some of the more serious thunderstorms. But for the most part, you can handle most of the other weather phenomenon you're going to experience.
So are you enjoying it, or has it just become straight out work now?
I'm enjoying flying again.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say I enjoy the IFR training. The sunset flights with foggles on is not something I would recommend to anyone.
Dude, I hate night flight, period, or sunset flight. I couldn't imagine, but and that's one thing my instructor, he was, like I said, he's the ratings this guy's got, and it's unbelievable. Great, great, great dude, good friend. But he told me, he said, man, just pick up flight following. You're going to get basically the same services on a VFR, but but and he showed me that several times and did some studying under that. And he goes, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I don't, it's just one half does another. But I never had the pedigree of the flight time that he's got and the experience he's got. But
yeah, I think Travis, like when I look, like my folks are up in Connecticut, the rest of my family. So part of my journey is to go up there and back. And I know that I better have extra vacation days for work
yeah,
where I say, hey, I'm going to go up to here and I can work from there. But if it's not working out, I may have to call in sick for the day because I'm going to be stuck here until the weather clears, because that area of the country, it is low cloud cover for 3 days, like a storm, and then it's open for like 2. So you better be ready to go on that 2-day clear to be able to try to get up and around the next front coming around. And I know you sort of experienced it because you went up to Ohio and back, but like you go a little bit further and you got both
yep,
the eastern seaboard and that same stuff coming across Ohio, and it's all merging like right there in like the Pennsylvania, New England area. So I know IFR was definitely a strong consideration for me. If I, when I get to that spot where I'm already a pilot, it's like, well, I'm going to have to debate whether or not I want to do IFR, because it is a big consideration. If I have it, at least if it's stormy and I feel comfortable with the weather, I know it's that low steady cloud cover, you just punch through it and you're good, because it's not crazy, right? But it'll stop you from doing most normal flights. Like,
right.
So it's like, okay, having IFR allows me to do that punch out and just go and get to the next, to where I need to be, as opposed to having to wait for 2-3 days for
So
the
what
one
would you
break in
say?
the weather.
Yeah.
It was what I considered, and I know, Jarrod, if you're up in that area, that's kind of what you're getting. The edges of that.
Yeah, it's pretty gross most of the year.
Gross.
That's a good way to put it.
This is this. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
All right. I'm going to steer us back a
Yeah,
little bit.
Brian, what have you
We can-
flown? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Brian, what did you fly this last week or so? What have you been working on recently?
So there I was flying my toy airplane made from scraps from my kid's science fair project.
Good.
Oh man, no. It's been a hectic bit for since FliteFest, but the last couple of weeks we've had a couple of local club events that I've been a part of. We got invited by the city that our club is in, which is Milan, Michigan. Our club got invited by the city to fly over a small lake that's right there in downtown. It's around some of the downtown area. During they have a citywide event. There's a car show, and all the businesses are out on the sidewalk and everything like that. So they invited us to do some flying out over this little lake, and right next to it is the local American Legion chapter, and we went out there, and a few of us put some. That's the only building I've done, is I put some floats onto a Flite Test Twin Otter, and we went out there, and there was 5 or 6 of us from the club that were out there flying planes on the lake that night. This was about 2 weeks ago now, and it was great to see the public reaction to that. We had a great time. We had some of the old guys in the American Legion were, they were lining up on the windows inside the club and just hooting and hollering and getting all excited. And somebody was announcing for the car show and was calling out the stuff that we're doing out over the lake. And
awesome.
It was a great time. It was a really great time. I did realize though that I did not waterproof my Twin Otter enough. I had to quit a little bit early because things were starting to separate. So that'll get some repair here pretty soon. But otherwise, everything was fine, fantastic. And
listen to the episode that we just had. Travis has a couple painting tips on how to paint the foam board in a way that ends up ultimately getting it pretty waterproof, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, and the only reason I haven't listened to it yet is I just got back last night from taking my kids and a bunch of kids from our church to camp for the week.
I posted it yesterday. It's okay.
I know, right? I would have had it listened to on the way to work if I'd been at work this week. So I've been kind of checked out for this past week, but then today our local club had we had a summer barbecue kind of event. So a bunch of us came out and just flying around. I didn't have much time to prepare, so I just grabbed some old standbys off the shelf. The Flirkin that's right above my head went out.
Mm-hmm.
The Gladiator off here, and then I've got a FT Hellcat Mini that I pulled out. Hasn't been out in a long time, and I remember why now, because I can't see it very well. It's little and it's fast and it's hard to see, and hard to tell which way it's going. I very nearly lost it today.
It's like
we had a
Lippish. Out there. Was it FMS Lippish? Was it something P14 or something? Whatever.
P15A, I think.
Yeah, P15A, and it's like it's a little fighter thing, and it's EDF, I think 50mm EDF or something, like 64, and it's small, and they painted it scale, so it blends in perfectly with an overcast sky, and orientation is very difficult with that. So I could see where you're like, oh
yeah, I genuinely, I don't often nearly lose airplanes, but it came real close today. The E-Flite Tomcat, the little Tomcat, is like that too. It's this light gray, and there's very little other marking on it, and it's fast and small and disappears in a hurry. Or
time to bring out some fluorescent tapes on that, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's why the big Tomcat that I brought to FliteFest was all white and red and very easy to see, which made it easy to see it crash way out in the field.
If I can find the photos, I'll post it over top so other people can see it.
So, yeah, we had a good time, and then a couple of the guys in the club one of the guys brought out a bunch of skydivers, so they were towing them up and dropping them in big 15-inch tall skydivers with risers and stuff. So that was pretty fun to see them doing that too.
Nice.
So
Nice.
It was a good time.
That's a good thing to do, man. I think I missed the event that we usually have a 4th of July event at our club, and I missed that. I think I was busy with all sorts of other things. I haven't done a whole lot, but I have been turning my mind to next year's Flite Fest project, the aircraft carrier, the airborne aircraft carrier, and I found I'm looking for on top of easy powered planes, because I feel like they're going to be a perfect way to get people who are new to Flite Fest to be involved in one of the crazy big projects, which to me would be a good event. Also turning the Aviation 010s, the $20 all in, kits that you can turn, little quadcopter kits they're admittedly fairly terrible, but you can turn them into a plane apparently. Somebody kind of had a way, and with the birthday gifts of 3D printers, I decided to 3D print all the things and start calibrating with that. So I was able to get that flying a little bit, but I flew it in pretty heavy wind, so it didn't go anywhere. Literally, it flew like in spot and did a lot of waggling, and then came down to the ground. But I'm gonna put my brain to getting more of the planning for it, for the different aspects ready, and kind of seeing what other pieces I'm missing. So kind of like with what you're talking about with grabbing, a flight board and, looking at different, like, okay, well, if this is the video system I want to use, like, and that's why I kind of asked. I plan on doing a Speedy Bee board with iNav, mostly because I hear the general waypoint missions are easy to set up, and what I want to, and it has a good loiter. So I was thinking of having that set up on a loiter. Once I get it up, just kind of loiter it around over top of Flite Fest and have people just try to land on it. Just literally just go up and go try to land on it. So yeah, that's mostly what I've been working on. That and trying to get a model of the full scale plane that I'm building, to a spot where I can actually fly it and have fun. So those are the big things. So good. Nice. It sounds like we've been pretty busy.
You've been chasing that flying helicarrier for a while now, and dear God, I want to see it.
Yeah,
I mean, it'd be so cool.
I want
what
to
you
see this.
what
I
you
want to
saw
see
was
this work so bad.
Oh my God!
So
So
bad,
okay,
I want to see it work.
all right. Why don't we do? So let's talk about Flite Fest, because this dovetails really well into just our experiences of Flite Fest, and then we'll go into the quick history on the AR 555, and then we can talk about your projects and that included of it, and then we'll go around from there. Jarrod, how's that sound to you guys?
I'm good.
Sounds
Okay,
great.
good. All right. At Flite Fest, something that somebody did did you see the triple Kraken on the last day? And I think one of the last couple combats. They basically built 3 Krakens, normal size Krakens, which is giant. And they attached it to fly together. And then at some point to separate, I don't know, I don't even, my references are going way back, so I'm going to leave that be. But to separate and individually fly. And their main carrying section, because that's, those birds are what, 4 feet from nose to tail, as it were.
You mean the Kraken?
Yeah, the Kraken.
It's not quite that big. It's the
like,
wingspan's pretty big, but it's just a wing.
Right.
Yeah. It's like 36 inches, isn't it?
Okay, fine. So 3-foot birds. They were trying to attach it together, right? So the one kid is like, we need something lightweight and that we don't have to do much with. So they went to their local store, and grabbed a rain gutter. And it's like a 10-foot rain gutter. And they're like, yeah, it weighs like a pound and a half, which is nothing for a Kraken, right? Let alone 3. Like, it's strong. We can do all sorts of stuff to it and mount it in good. And yeah, as long as we make sure we don't release while it's like aimed at the crowd, we should be in good shape. And I think they had like ancillary wings, so it would kind of almost like the shuttle, space shuttle kind of, it would glide down, they had motors on the front. It would glide down, but it could be a projectile pretty quickly, So like, it's not what we want. We just want to try this. And so, did anybody else see that when they were?
Did you see when they finally got it up in the air?
No, I think I was flying something at that same time. I think I saw them, and I don't know what entirely happened because I was trying to get myself ready.
So they got up in the air, and I believe one or two of them got separated from the gutter, but I don't believe the third one did, and they all disappeared from the air very quickly. I did not see it go down, but they didn't stay up for very long. It was very unfortunate. I was hoping to see it be more effective.
No,
because it was.
I'm
so
sorry
cool.
to hear that. They were working on some good stuff there. Sorry.
So did anybody notice all the real estate signs all over the place?
I saw it at the front of the property.
Yeah.
So any hunch? Anybody have any backstory on that, or?
I heard third hand, but I've just heard that the owners of the field are have been looking to sell for a little while. That's why there was a little bit of delay in opening up some of the camping sections.
Oh yeah, I heard that too.
I think it was related to that.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be interesting if they do sell. It'll be interesting to see if the location changes.
That's what I was kind of wondering myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that. If not, we should start planning where we're going to set up the next Flite Fest of our own. I'm kidding. I don't know. Like, okay, fine, we're not going to do it there, but we got somewhere we're going to come down and do it. I mean, they've already gone through that parade of having, we'll call it remote Flite Fests, so they know at least what's involved.
Yeah. What was it? The first couple of years they were doing it in like 3 different locations throughout the country, weren't they?
Yeah, they had one in Florida one year and California, and
they went in Texas once, right?
Right, and I think the following year they nixed those and went to Texas, and just did one there. I mean, it's still pretty sizable, right? And I think what the conclusion I'm guessing they came to is, boy, that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
like that is like that is all we're doing is planning these things and executing them, and what we're not really getting enough time to really do is focus, on the bread and butter, which is the videos and some of the kits and things like that, like they want to.
Well, and I think it's enough work for them even having it local like that. I mean, it's 10 minutes from Edgewater.
Yeah, I agree.
It's still quite the endeavor to put on FliteFest.
Yeah, I can imagine the intensity of the work and the dedication that goes into set up something like that. Just at one location, let alone 2 or 3. But
right. Well, so
speaking of the setup, how about the recovery after the storm? I mean, for anybody listening who doesn't know, Wednesday night, right before FliteFest started, there was a big storm and a microburst just flattened all the build tents. Within minutes, they just were flattened, and those that were on site already, and the Flite Test staff and their tent company, the recovery was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, they spent most of Thursday basically getting the different tents. I think they realized one of them had ripped, and that they couldn't put it back up and keep it safe. So they're like, "What? We got other tents. If you're willing, we'll split it. It'll be as much area, but it'll have to be 2." And they're like, that'll work. But they were able to get one of the other, the one I was in, the Western build tent, up, and back and up. And I think so. What happened with the microburst? It's like a mini tornado, right? And so the wind whipping over it lifted the whole tent structure. And most of those poles are really just resting on the ground and then strapped down. And the weight of the tent fabric and all that stuff pretty much kind of keeps it stuck to the ground. And it's pretty significant force. But like when the entire sail becomes an uplift device, you now no longer have anything holding the poles down. And so they lift it up, probably not far, but it's enough for the bottoms to scoot out, and the whole thing went, slipped out from under it, right?
And those
Sounds
poles
like
were real strong in tension and compression, but when you bend them, they're not very strong. So a lot of those got bent too.
Yeah,
No,
I've
did
seen
they?
a lot of those poles did get bent. But
Yeah.
you're right. You're right, Brian. The recovery and the getting those tents back up. I think they had them up within 2-3 hours, 4 hours, something like that. It was pretty
It
incredible.
was incredible.
Yeah,
But
it was impressive. And good on Flite Fest for looking towards solutions and and I know it was the volunteers who really said, no, we don't need to stop this. We can make this happen. Like you have a workforce of hundreds of people here right now, and we are all in.
yeah,
What do you need us to do? We are here to help. If you got to have 5 people on a pole and we'll get this up, let's do it. So
it was kind of funny working with Trevor because I drove up Tuesday from Kansas, stayed in Dayton, Ohio, went to the Air Force Museum, spent the day there, and then drove up Wednesday night and met Trevor, and we went down to the STEM tent and kind of was setting things up. Most of that stuff was already pre-set up, and we were just kind of going over a few things. Then him and I went back to the hotel and was sitting there chatting and then paying attention to the weather. And we got up the next morning and drove in together, and we were placing bets on whether we had a tent or not. And get there, the only thing that happened to the STEM tent was the wind was strong enough it blew a few of the tables and chairs over. It didn't touch anything else, and it was just like, holy smokes, But,
we got so lucky.
What's so lucky, man? Because we'd had hundreds and hundreds of foam board airplanes because we laid them all out, from the night before, getting prepped for the day. All the curriculum and everything was just, nothing was touched. And it was just like,
wow.
We could have had hundreds of sheets of foam board just laying everywhere,
Ruined,
so,
right?
So, yeah. But, speaking of that recovery, it was kind of funny because Trevor's up there trying to do some of the first couple classes, and every time he spoke, all you heard in the background was kunk, 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 kunk. It was so loud, and and I'm like, speak up, Trevor. And he's like, I'm trying, So, that was the only downfall, was that, you heard that hammering from them setting their anchors into the ground again. But yeah, no, pretty incredible recovery, really, in all honesty.
We were kind of stuck off site from it. We came in Wednesday night, and we were going to pull in beforehand, and there was RVs getting stuck in the mud and stuff like that. And I had my young boys with me, and we just we didn't want to get in the way, so we went back to the hotel, and then found out everything, and then we weren't going to be much help on Thursday, so we kind of hung out and waited where we were waiting to see what happened, and just watching. We were stuck watching it on social media, seeing what was going on. We finally didn't get on site until Friday afternoon, but it did allow us. We met up with Matt and was able to get a unique photo opportunity with the a jet that I brought. We went to an air museum, and they're about 20 minutes away.
The Maps Air Museum.
Canton. Yeah, Maps Air Museum in Canton, and they've got a Tomcat on site. And I was able to pull out my big John Overstreet, the Master Series Tomcat that I had just finished putting together, and we
looked at me and his wife, and he's like, "Hey, do you think they'd let me bring my Tomcat in here and take a picture?" I'm like, "Dude, if you brought your Tomcat to the door and said, 'Can I come in here with this and take a picture?' I would be shocked if they said no." I said,
I believe they said, "Heck yeah."
Right. Like, well, I would say they had a bunch of questions.
Do it.
Too, Yeah, do it.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
I'll definitely share a couple of the pictures that I know I took. I don't know if you want to share some with me, Brian, and we can make sure that they get in this video here. Jarrod, what about you? What was your experience?
Well, so I'm in state, right, in Cincinnati, so that's not that big of a drive. So I was planning to drive up early Thursday morning and get there, around noon or before noon. But when all that happened Wednesday night, I kind of just parked it, right? Figured there was no point in going early. But the
Mhm.
hotel was ready to go for Thursday night. So I think we ended up leaving 2 or 3 p.m. And then we got there when people were kind of back to normal Thursday night. So we actually parked on the side of the road, walked over, said hi to a few people, and saw some people doing some flying, but nothing else.
Okay.
But that did mean that we were able to get there early Friday morning. Again, kind of park on the side of the road. Not sure that was the greatest parking spot, right? But then walk over, ferry everything over from the SUV, and basically get an entire table in one of the build tents, which was really nice to have for the rest of the event.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I got the impression too, like with the collapsing of those tents, nobody got hurt at all. Like there was some property damage, like things got broke, right? And I know some people's projects that, kind of like with you and me, like we try to bring a couple big things, right?
Yeah,
And it'd be devastating if one of them got crushed, but at the same point, it's like, yo, man, there's bigger fish to fry on this, right? Like this is just a piece of foam board and fun.
yeah.
And like I'll recover the parts and pieces. Like it'll be okay.
Worst case scenario, you lose the hours you spent building it and whatever you spent cutting it out, and what, $10 max? Like, no, it's
Right.
not.
Yeah, maybe your EDF gets crushed and you have to buy a new one or something. Like, okay, that sucks. It does suck.
Yeah.
There's some parts that would be terrible, but like compared to what's going on and what everybody's trying to recover from, like this is small potatoes. Kind of puts it all in perspective. But the
I
cool
think
part
someone.
is, go ahead.
Sorry, I
No,
was just gonna
go
say
ahead.
I know someone left a hot iron on in the tent in the tent that I was on, and that melted a decent sized hole in one of the tables, which was kind of funny. But if that's the end of the property damage, other than the tents, then that's a pretty small. Yeah.
Relatively small, yeah.
Yeah.
So what the cool part is like you said, by Thursday night, it sounded like those who were there could go back to enjoying the festival somewhat, or at least on a limited scale, right? It was still a muddy mess, and I know Brian and I were looking at the things, and we're like, well, we're not going to really need to get in until like midday, because they're still trying to smooth out all the roads, and if we're even going to think about getting back on site.
Yeah, we were waiting for by that point we were waiting for the official all clear from the FT guys, which came Friday morning.
Right. And I was like, okay, cool. And I came up, in my mind, I came up late. Like I was supposed to, in my head, I'm like, I'm going to be there Wednesday night. It's going to be great. And like, I just totally missed all those boats. And then knowing all the things that happened, I'm like, wait a second, by the time I get there, I'm not going to miss anything. Like, I'll come up there Thursday night. I'll have like hours on Thursday to kind of get everything ready. I should be in good shape. Because for me, that trip didn't just include FliteFest. It was then going to Kentucky and visiting a friend over east of Louisville, and then going to visit my dad in Louisville, and then driving through the hills of North Carolina, and then coming back down through, like it was this whole adventure, right? So like I had to think through more than just FliteFest. Not that there was a ton more, but
So how many people actually brought mud boots or mud?
We didn't need it. Brian, I don't know if your trek to and from your site was difficult by that time, right?
No, I wore the same tennis shoes the whole time, and
Travis.
I never even got them wet.
Sorry, buddy.
I
brought them. Yeah.
You did, Jared?
Yeah, I brought them. I didn't wear them though. Didn't need them.
Yeah, I didn't either. But that Thursday morning when we got there, and there was people showing up with brand new mud boots. I'm like, where are you getting those at? Oh, the local Ursulines or whatever it was down the street. And they said they only got like one pair left. And he said, yeah, they came in, and he said my son and I went in and got the last 2 pairs, and they said we sold out like 36 pairs just like that. What's going on? And I see a lot of people.
Yeah,
I was just like, holy smokes, that's what I need to do. Hopefully, if it rains, just set up a mud boot stand. You know what I mean?
Right?
It's just selling mud boots.
With a shoe truck.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's my retirement plan.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm gonna pay for this trailer somehow.
Yeah, no kidding. Just bring mud boots for sale, just slip-ons or whatever. But
it's like every third year it seems like there's one day it rains awful. And those who don't have mud boots regret it.
It was kind of cool. They threw the heck out of the straw and and wood shavings and stuff to kind of help that out. And they,
Yeah.
I don't know how much money goes into that, but I'm sure that's a considerable expense. But it's just kind of cool to see that they do that.
Just
Yeah.
all around, I would say hats off to the operations people that
Right.
are behind putting all that together. I mean, I know Josh has a huge hand in most of it, but it is far from all him. He's just the
Right.
face of the operation. There's so many people involved, and the work they put in and the result they get. I mean, it's just so impressive. I mean, even for people staying on site with the campsites and stuff, there's hot showers that you can go and use anytime you need to, and they're on like little trailers with hot showers, and the details like that are just makes it a very enjoyable event for everybody, whether you're in a tent in an RV or staying at a hotel off site, or if you live nearby.
Right.
It's all
It makes it very family friendly.
yeah.
Like you don't have to worry. Like I've been to a lot of festivals, like music festivals, and they go from the, hey, this is really well kept. I mean, there's like candles in each one of the bathrooms and stuff, like to make sure that every night people can see and it smells good, like to that level. And then ones where, they clearly didn't plan it well and all of the toilets are overflowing by the end. And you're like, oh, this is gross. And like, there's no showers, you bring your own outdoor solar shower kind of deal if you even want to do that. And it's like, yeah, this isn't, no, these guys, I think when they really thought through, and they've obviously done this more than once, so they've kind of refined it pretty well. But they're like, okay, if we want families to be here, if we want, and we'll get to that in a moment, but the support, I'll call it the support families, support parents, is what I see a lot of. But you end up having, a lot of moms and wives and a bunch of kids, which Travis, you see in the tents, the build tents a ton, or the stem tents.
Yeah,
and it makes it comfortable, right?
It's pretty interesting. I mean, the past couple of years there's a lot of kids and stuff, but this year for some reason there was a lot of teachers, and so Trevor was so grateful with the fact that we had a foreign exchange student that was there from Germany. I can't his name just I can't remember it, but he was helping with some of the builds and stuff, and I was primarily trying to fill in for Trevor so that he could go off and have one-on-one, teachings to bring teachers into the STEM program. And one time I poke around the corner, I bet there was 25 or 30 teachers taking a class from Trevor alone. So it's that STEM thing is really, really growing. And I've been, and Matt, I've been working with Trevor on designs and stuff like that. And the one thing that I hope sticks, I really hope, and I think we talked about this in the last episode, is Trevor and Josh came up with this idea called Gremlin Works. The FT Gremlin, like Skunk Works from, like, I think it's Boeing or something like that. But
Yeah, it's not Boeing,
and release the secret airplanes and stuff like that. And Trevor is he's completely ecstatic about it. And you can see it's like, 50-some-year-old guy looks like a 12-year-old kid just enjoying the day. And it's just,
that's like most of everybody at Flite Fest.
yeah.
How old you are, you're still about 12 having a blast.
Yeah, it's just like, and yeah, so, yeah, but, yeah, the STEM tent this year was two sides, and just completely busy. And I mean, I'm not kidding you. It was like, I think we talked about, Matt, on the last episode, that it was busy. It was really, really busy, and that's a good thing. It's
Yeah,
it's so
yeah. There's some new things to try that I think Trevor just kind of said, like, we typically run this all by the big man, and
right.
just make sure that there's a blessing. And I think we're going to have to do it on our own and ask for forgiveness at this point if we want to get it to keep going. And I mean, what it's whatever it is. I think ultimately he wants to just make sure that it's still in the same vein. And I can't imagine Travis not picking something that is in the same kind of attitude.
Yeah,
Let's get everybody excited about this.
So Josh always absolutely is, and he's told me himself, and he's always in for new planes and stuff like that, just new ideas and things that fly. So some of those new planes that we introduced this year, he absolutely sent the planes and stuff like that, and Trevor sent him some planes. He absolutely did his own test flying on it. So yeah, he still has control of that in that aspect, and I've got the excitement like that. We took that little glider, the Miniventure glider, and we powered it this year. And the build video or the test fly video of him over at Edgewater Park, yep, that one right there. When we powered that up
been
last
beaten
year,
severely, like it's been in trouble, but
man, that thing, I still have the video that Trevor sent of me when he was test flying it around Edgewater Park, and it's just like, it's cool because you, just like anybody, man, when you see something actually have success, and it's just like you see Josh just smile like a 12-year-old kid all over again. It's like he's completely not even a business owner. He's just enjoying something
right.
really cool, and I think it's kind of like, I don't know how many here play golf, but it's like I'll go out and whack a couple balls and I'll be like, this is stupid, and then I get that one hit that is just absolutely phenomenal. I'm hooked for the rest of the year, chasing that that feeling,
That's sweet.
But
When you hit it, you just get
Yep.
that. Mm.
It's just like,
golf,
man.
I get angry when I can't replicate that shot, though. That's why I don't golf.
That's what I was going to say. That's kind of why I stopped. I found myself getting more mad at myself than actually enjoying that sweet sound of success.
But yeah, that's it's really cool. Like, but yeah, you're right. You said the big man still has control of that. Absolutely. But Trevor and I did some new things this year, and we ran it by Josh in the middle of the tent, and that dude has a heart of gold. I mean, he really does. And there's a couple times he gets a little teary-eyed over some of the success of some things that we tried. And you can tell he has a big heart, and I think we did something that was kind of really unorthodox, and we ran it by Josh, and we was both kind of on pins and needles with Josh and he's like, man, I got a bigger heart than that. You should know me. He goes, yeah, I'm cool with it. Whatever, just as long as we had a success and everybody had a good time, I'm okay with it. So, but it's out of respect for him. It is his territory. And that's why I really, really hope this Gremlin works things, because then it's a contributing factor of not just one person or not just one. Everybody can kind of contribute something to those easy planes and kind of get their design in and feel like they, I don't know, they contributed somehow. And that's what it's all about. It's a community thing altogether. It's not just one guy designing all these planes and you got to stick with this curriculum,
Right.
But
I agree. I already put a couple bids out to Trevor.
Oh, did you, to see if he responded?
Not yet. I'm not worried about it. Honestly, I don't know how much I've even looked. I didn't see it come in, but I also am not paying too close attention. I put it out there, but
I meant to send him a text, and I will as soon as we get
okay.
off with it. Yeah, I'll send him a
follow
text.
up when I get to it. Most of it has to do with when I find success with the aircraft carrier, the parasite fighters I want to have as a skunkworks build and have like 2 or 3 of those so that everybody who wants to do that kind of thing, hopefully at that point, it's got to be a good flyer, but so it's going to be inherently a fun plane, but I also want it to be like, and that thing that you've been seeing just kind of cruising around the field, it's built to launch those, and it's built to have that land and have them relaunched, right? Like that's, or whatever I get to, right? Like it's designed for those planes to land on it.
I'm glad you brought that up because you hit me up about let's do a Flite Fest 2025, and so I did. In the middle of work, I was like, I'm going to go back to Flite Fest 2024 and listen to the podcast. And you were talking about the aircraft carrier back then.
I brought it. I brought my. I was hoping to do something with it, and I burned out.
I'm totally on board with Brian. It's like, come on, let's see this thing, man. I'm still waiting.
Anything we can do to help.
Hold on. All right, fine. You're gonna goad me into doing this. I didn't want to do it. It's okay. You'll see it. Hold on. Come on now. In the background, this here is one of the wings. It's what came back from Flite Fest. That was it. Unfortunately, it's a relatively fragile build.
Is that like Go ahead.
I was just gonna say a thought crossed my mind now that one of those easy planes for landing on it, we're going to have to do one shaped like a Tomcat.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's a must. Carrier. It's
And it's got to
a
have a swing wing. It's got to be like the motors.
That might be a stretch.
No. When you turn on the motors, they swing out.
Not working.
Hold on. Then my thought is if you have the motors on the back of the wing and it's got a swing mechanism, when the motors turn on, when you throttle it up, they come out. And it might be like we'll call it a compliant 3D printed mechanism that when the motors are off, it's just gentle and swings it back. So it becomes a Delta glider, and when you turn the motors on, it comes out to the. I'm just
that'd be pretty
throwing
cool.
out the thoughts.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of I don't know if any of you guys follow Rene Rosentrager on YouTube. Yeah, it reminds me of his cruise missiles, right? Where the wings are naturally they want to go out, and then he has a mechanism to release it, and the wings spring open. And then they're able to fly while detached. And this is just kind of the opposite of that, right?
Yeah, it's similar, the opposite way. But so that way you get that effect. I don't know that just having the Tomcat be there would be worth doing. But to me, having it be, we'll call it functionally swing wing, would be that'd be ridiculous. That'd be the kind of thing where everybody's like, "Oh, get out of here."
Are you saying putting like a Tomcat on an Easy Pack? Is that what you're saying, or just a Tomcat?
Yeah.
You make it about the size of this Delta when it's all said and done, maybe a little bit bigger.
So
right.
I have to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, scaled down version of it. So I have to admit, I absolutely bought one of John Overstreet's Tomcat gliders that you can. You have three of them.
Yeah. It was one of the first ones he kind of said this was my inspiration when I built this. I'm like, and if you go on the balsa building forums, there's plans for that build.
On the balsa build.
Yeah.
So it's so Josh introduced the F-22, and it was like he took his F-22 glider and he made it a full body F-22 Easy Pack or Easy plane this year, and it flies quite well. But it's just I'm like you, Brian and Matt. It's just I want to see something that actually functions. So the thought, and everybody's got that thought. Use that LED to run a small servo. You know what I mean? And so you could. It's just a thought. If you had enough spring loaded enough to float the wings out, you could hit the lights and have it pull in, or have it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Whatever.
I'm just real sensitive to Tomcat swing wing mechanisms failing right now. I may or may not have had a recent experience with that.
Yeah. So okay, and we'll get into the builds we brought and the experiences we have, because that's actually kind of what I wanted to go and move from the STEM, and that's where obviously Travis and you and I got together there, seeing, and I've talked about it in the past, seeing all the families, and that's the thing is this year I ran into almost every single one of those families that I talked to and chatted up, and was just impressed and surprised at each of the kids and how engaged they were, how supported their families were with them. And then, fast forward, 2-3 years from when we first met, and that's when some of these other people were there. I caught them at the build tables in all the different build tents, and they're like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" Because they recognize me, because I'd see them every year, and I'd be like, "Hey, what are you building over there?" And they're showing me all these. I mean, it's just, some of them are just kind of I'm building this thing because I like the way it looks and all that kind of stuff. And some of them are in deep, where they're Jarrod and I were okay, what kind of mechanisms can we put in here? Or a couple Raspberry Pis. Maybe we can get some motors to do some, what do you mean we can't do thrust vector? Of course we can do thrust vectoring on this. No, whatever. Easy planes with thrust vector. Of course we can.
Yeah. So that would be kind of cool. And this is something that, Trevor and I was geeking out at the hotel. He's like, "Man, I want to see it in an EDF Easy Pack." It's just oh, look at Brian. Yeah. He's like, yeah. So it's just
well, and then we get to the Silver Surfer, who's been doing something similar to that for a long time.
Yeah, dude, I
Wow.
I didn't even know that guy existed until I was just like tonight. I was like, I was gonna jump on, and I was just like, I was going through his stuff. I was like, holy smokes! Oh
Yeah.
wow, way
Right.
cool. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, Jared? An EDF Easy Pack?
I think it makes a lot of sense. The first EDFs I worked on or built or did anything were the smaller 50 mils and that original UMX Habu, which has a really tiny 35 millimeter EDF.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is essentially, this like a souped up motor, but the
It
same
really
kind of
is,
setup
yeah.
as the Eachine, the little micro quads, and you just put a shroud around it, right?
Yeah.
But like a souped up motor, because those don't spin crazy fast, but you can get, when all the tiny whoop stuff started coming out, people were like, wait a second, we have crazier motors, right? And they're like, instead of the 15,000 RPM, right, that these do, it's like, no, we can go 45,000. And like the thrust on those is actually something to, and Travis, you and I talked last time about the props, which they came in and I have yet to test them, but like changing the props gives you a totally different thrust regime that you can work with. And you're like, wait a second, all these things that weren't like, and that's why I was actually planning on putting those props on these motors and just seeing if they improve the thrust ratio and make this more viable and heavier wind. Because that's the thing is like, if it couldn't fly in the wind as heavy as it was, if they couldn't move forward in that, then they may not be able to land on the carrier, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like I gotta consider, if the plane's going through the air at 15 miles an hour, and the wind that's 15 miles an hour is too much for this plane, we might have a problem, right? Houston, there's a problem. So anyway, go ahead, Jared. I'm kind of. I guess what I'm saying is like there are options out there that I've seen in other forums on different things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can absolutely soup up those motors, change the propellers, do whatever you need to do. The issue with the EDFs is, at least for the micro versions, right, is just the handling for the Easy Pack style planes, right? The EDFs or the jets, they're not going to handle that smaller wingspan quite as elegantly as the props are going to, right? The EDFs provide more punch at high speed because so much of that thrust is coming from that VA initial velocity that the propellers just don't have. So you get a lot more torque, a lot more initial thrust from the propellers, which, I mean, for the Easy Pack, obviously everyone has their own preferences, but if you're marketing towards kids as essentially air hogs replacements, maybe a standard propeller makes a little bit more sense than some tiny little jet running off an Easy Pack EDF.
Yeah, once you get to a true EDF, it's no longer easy.
No, hold
Exactly.
on.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
Oh, I see.
what if
Okay.
there's an Easy Pack, about a standard Easy Pack, but you can have jet upgrades, and it's these 45,000 RPM shrouded little doohickeys, and you attach those,
I get 45
right?
pounds again.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you're gonna do it, right? I mean, they pull more amps, but
I mean, I
You
think
know,
there would be 4 customers on this podcast right now, but
right? I'm just thinking out loud here,
So my question is, Jared, do you have any idea of something like that? What's this kind of? I'm without calculations. What amps does something like that pull? Any idea?
I don't know. I haven't touched anything that
Like
small
that.
in a really long time. I don't own an FT Easy Pack motor setup or anything. The most I've got is a tiny whoop from 2018 that I don't think I've done the calculations on. But the shroud is gonna actually decrease.
The
It's
performance
gonna
of the prop, right?
Yeah, it is a bit, unless you get the clearances really really tight.
So
And your noise reduction might be minimal, but there might be some.
hear me out.
Sure.
SLA printed props, right? Because though they might be going crazy speed, I mean they're also stupid lightweight. So if you
Yeah, and
had
your geometrical tolerancing on that is actually good enough.
right, it might be good
Yeah.
enough where you could build at least a shroud around the prop part and a holder, and then you put like 2 millimeter or like 0.5 millimeter thick shaved foam. And I know there's a guy right there who knows a guy who can do that kind of cutting. So we might be able to work something through. I'm just saying.
I can't see.
I don't
can't
know
see
who you're
Jared, but I can
talking
see
about.
his eye rolling.
It's really funny that this is being brought up because this is essentially what my research focused on in grad school during COVID was electric motors. So UMs, right, or urban air mobility devices. The Joby aircraft is an example, right? If we could, because noise reduction, noise pollution is a thing for those electric motors with propellers at those speeds, right? And the vast majority of your noise is going to come from the wingtip approaching the speed of sound, the tip velocity. So the two parts of that
100.4.
Yeah,
It's a good one to look at. Go ahead.
The two questions we had were, all right, if in right around buildings, can you increase the pitch of the propeller to get the same amount of force with a slower RPM, because the RPM plays heavily into that. If the blade's not traveling as quickly, the tip velocity is going to be a lot lower. And then the second part was 3D printing a cone and fairing for essentially making it an EDF to see what, if any, noise reduction you'd see from either of those two. And the tip of the propeller, right, rotating that with a higher angle of attack, that was super promising. Issue is we kind of ended up stalling it a couple times in testing, but the 3D printed fairing and housing didn't really do a whole lot. It was kind of useless. But we were looking for noise reduction. We weren't really looking for increased performance or anything.
Or coolness factor.
Or coolness factor, yes.
Yeah, you have to worry about your CF on these little easy packs.
Always.
It's mostly that, actually.
Well,
anyway, well, cool.
I think the drive side is going to be a problem too, because pulling that many amps from a 1S pack is
typically I think they go like around 3 amps, right?
For the small wires. That's a
So
lot of
Josh,
wiring that's there.
So Josh and I was talking when the V2 boards first came out. They went from the green boards to the red boards or whatever it was, and him and I was playing around with that. And he goes, Travis, I think these things are pulling. I think these boards will max out at like 5 amps, which on a little motor that's a substantial amount. I mean, he said we've been playing with it, and they were just kind of doing some rough calculations and stuff. And he goes, I'm thinking these boards will kick out at 5 amps. But I mean,
well, that's 5 amps DC too. That's it would be, you'd get the equivalent a little lower using like an AC ESC for a brushless setup.
Right. Yeah, if you went from DC brush,
you'd want to convert over to brushless to be able to get more power for fewer amps.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to me, this is this is where that frontier is on that scale, right? And I know we're not the first persons to think about it and try stuff.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right. Yeah. But, and also would it be possible to basically have like a secondary motor set? Because, right, you just unplug the old ones and you move the board over and plug in these other ones that have higher performance, but your battery's going to go like any jet, right? Any electric jet. It's like, oh, these things are great for 2 minutes instead of the 15 that you normally get on a gentle flyer or whatever. But
I feel like we need to have like a separate brainstorming session where we can go for like 6 hours where we can come up with all these ideas.
There's a build night. Speaking
so
of,
much that we could do.
Those who are listening are probably too late for this, but there is an Aviation.Rcnoob podcast build night tomorrow night in the Build Party channel, same time but tomorrow night at 8:00. If you want, we just get on board and we'll just chat away and start taking notes. I'll pull up a whiteboard and start writing it down and see what we can figure out. I'm just saying. Not opposed to it, because there's a lot of. So we were talking last time with Travis here about how do we scale some design? Like Jared, taking some of the planes you've built and designed. If we were to get we'll call it thinner
material.
Yeah, thinner stock material where almost like paper plate material. And you could just lay it out as a sheet. You could take your plans and scale them down to like 8.5 by 11 instead of like 20 by 30, right? And then you just cut them out of that stuff and you build the plane like we would at FliteFest or at any Flite Test plans or any Master Series plans. And you could take these EDFs that we're talking about if we make them or if we figure them out, right? Or any of these little like quadcopter motors or stuff like that. And you just basically replace the different packs from Flite Test and Jimmy jury rigged this stuff in there. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And then because that's how I built my P-38 when I built it. I made it out of paper plates and I scaled down I can't horseman something. His P-38 plane. And literally I just made it that way. And it flew perfectly. It was once I realized the board had to be oriented vertically. Took me a moment. It's a little slow on the uptake.
What kind of material did you use? I know you said you paper plate, but
sorry, foam plates. Like the stack of 100 foam plates. I cut out the center.
Real thin EPS.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep. Very thin. And then the thing is the way they're made where they're pressed, that one side has that skin. So you're able to actually take a pencil or something, kind of rub the backside, and it starts to curl. So you actually do a lot of the same methoding. Probably you'd have to end up using more like UHU pour or foam tack or something like that.
Sure.
Might be the better glue instead of hot glue because that'll just melt straight through that stuff. Ask me how I know. I lost a couple planes to that. Like, I'll just put a little. Oh my god, it's all gone. All right, I'll have to start over. But I mean, to me, then it's directed. Then everything that we've all done on the Flite Fest forums and that you see in some of these other places, like you can directly translate. Like it's a fairly quick, direct translation, and you get to still use these easy packs and hence show these generations of kids going through the STEM program. Like, hey, you can take this to another level if you want to still find use for this. And I'd be like, I know this guy. His name's Jarrod.
I don't know. I think that's a great idea. I for sure think that some of those jets should be scaled down. Cough, cough. Su-57.
Right.
That can get scaled down, and the motors can stay the same size. But yeah, no. I mean, if Easy Pack EDFs could actually be done that way, that could be really cool.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, because right now your only real choice is the Vigan or that retro rocket, and you're almost required to get a 70 mil for that jet, right? Like that's the only thing Flite Test currently sells.
Right.
I don't know. I think they could. I think that selling like some of those FMS 50 millimeter EDFs or some version of that
those are
would
good
be
too.
It would be a
FMS
really
50
nice
mils are
step.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're good little motors. I mean, they're not nearly as tiny as these Easy Pack style things we're discussing, but I think that's probably the best option for this.
No, but for the size, when you're looking like, I want to have still a park scale size, but I need it to have some serious thrust, or I want it to have some serious thrust. Those seem to be the only motors. And I've tried other ones and they were okay. But the FMS ones, they seem to have a magic. Like they found that sweet spot.
A lot better. Yeah. I've tried those, the XQ ones that Amazon sells.
Yep. The QX motor stuff.
QX
and again, they're cheap. They work. They do well. You're not going to be too disappointed.
I've seen those and I haven't tried them. So you guys have had success with them.
Yeah, they work. I mean, they work well, and you're not going to be disappointed. But they're not pulling out the pinnacle of thrust. Like I think it's like when you look at their motor thrust value ratings, they always seem to be barely at that number or lower. And like FMS, it's like, oh yeah, that's when we kind of keep it at 80%. That's like what we give you, and it's like they go more.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they're always outperforming what they rate. So you're always impressed by what they give you. I think it's
the FMS are also 11 blades, and the QX are 6 blades. So
yeah, the sound too. They make sure that it sounds
Yeah.
Just so. Like, and you're like, yeah. As opposed to, you know, and you're like, ow. But okay, cool. It's still legit. All right. Well, what I want to, I guess, let's piggyback off of this discussion about innovations and talk about what we saw in the different build tents and around, you know, the campsites and the RV sites and stuff. Like, kind of walking up and down those lines, you start seeing people that were working on different things throughout the year, and they brought them in. And like, one of the things I love about working, like, half the time I worked at the build tents, and I loved that because then I got to see just where people, and like the things I saw on the forums, right? If I saw them, I'd see them there in real life and go like, whoa, I had no idea, you know? Half the time Jarrod brings out a plane, I'm like, dude, I had no idea it was that big. Like, you need to have like a little banana or hammer for size, you know?
That's true. Yeah.
So what did you guys see in the build tents? What did you see around the FliteFest Fest that kind of jumped out? Like, if you have a plane or two that you have like, wow, that one really impressed me, or that there's something about what they were doing that was pretty interesting. Brian, you want to start? Or anybody want to jump in?
Yeah, I'll mention one that I thought was pretty cool. There was someone who, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him other than just say, you know, thumbs up on the way by. But someone put together out of the pink foam board a kind of an Antonov inspired twin that was simple box fuselage, Antonov style tail, straight wing. It was relatively simple, something thrown together, but it was decent size, and it flew beautifully when I saw it. And it struck me as something that was just really great. It wasn't too out there. I mean, there was some other stuff that was really crazy and out there, and I figure you guys would mention it, so I thought I'd throw this one out there. And
Wow.
and I was and I know, Matt, you know Sasha, who's another listener of the podcast and on the Discord.
Yep.
Watching him work on a yield sign build that he'd been working on for a while, and the
Was it like a
tenacity
double
of,
FT alpha, but it was like 250%, or is
well,
it was
no,
really large?
he got that afterward. He got that one from someone else afterward.
Oh, okay.
But he put so much work into
He
that
did.
yield sign build. The tenacity of that guy is something to be aspired to. I was really impressed. Ultimately, there was some stuff he just couldn't overcome, and I don't remember exactly what it is. I'm sure he'll remind us later. But
Yeah, please do,
it
Sasha.
ultimately ended up being a target out there for combat at the end.
He's like, well, this doesn't work, but
yeah,
what a great, like, go hit this.
You think it's the plane or is it the pink? You know, for the target. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those were the two that stood out to me that were a little bit different.
Nice. Travis, what about you? I know you primarily worked in the STEM tents. I don't know how much you got a chance to kind of walk around and see what was going on.
I really didn't, man. I took one little break. It was lunch, and I just kind of walked through the build tents, and I seen you there, and I was just kind of looking at a few things and just kind of running through there really quick. But I didn't. I mean, I was just I had so many minutes, and I had to get back to the STEM tent. But I mean, it was just kind of a quick walkthrough. But I didn't see anything to me that, of course, I missed most of the battles and stuff like that. That's one thing about working in the build, and it's a job, man. It's just
in the STEM tent, right?
Yeah, but that's one thing I do regret this year is that I didn't get to watch most of the battles and stuff. I seen Josh, and I don't know if the guy was from Radio Master or something, but they were working on trying to finalize that shark, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, so that I kind of thought the idea and the concept, and Josh was telling me, and he's like, the idea is just to just destroy it, become like a weed eater in the air, you know, and just like, you know, just suck them, you know. But come to find out, he didn't have enough. His control surfaces weren't, because it was a great big EDF essentially, you know,
Yeah,
and he
that's
didn't
what
have
it is. Right.
There was no airflow over his. They had to add control surfaces inside around that EDF on the backside of it to, you know, a rudder and to actually get some control out of that plane. They were in the STEM tent because nobody else was in there on the other side. And yeah, what you got, Matt? What are you pointing at, brother?
That's my shark that was done the same kind of way. I did not find success because I made the entire wing, the entire fin rotated, and I could not find a good balance point. I made them. I should have had the fins be the wings and control surfaces on the ends of those, and I think that would have had more success. It's one of those projects that's I'll come back to it.
So, like, did you? Because, like, I noticed, and he was pointing it out, and it didn't dawn on me until I seen exactly what he was talking about. You know, the airflow coming through that tube or whatever that's the design of the body of the shark. It has to hit the freaking control surfaces for the control surfaces to even work. You know, but once they did kind of figure it out, it was kind of cool. You know,
you have to give it enough oomph where the control surfaces work.
So right? I was standing next to Josh during one of the early combats before they'd modified it, and just listening to his confusion as he was trying to find it or fly it was absolutely hilarious. He's like, I'm trying to do this, and it's doing that, and I don't know what it's doing. I was just dying laughing during the whole thing, and I was trying to figure out where my plane was at the same time, but that was pretty hilarious. But once they got the extended the surfaces to the inside of the tube and the later ones, and I think they published some videos on it. It was it was a lot more effective, that's for sure.
Yeah, Jarrod, that's something that you run into with the jets, right?
I mean, a bit. The whole point
excluded,
Su-57 excluded with the TV. Yeah. Kind of. With the jets, you're flying fast enough; it doesn't really matter. The whole issue with this is if you're flying it like a prop, then you need that prop wash to create artificially forces for the control surfaces to act against. But if you're flying fast enough, then you're fine. It's essentially like the rudder on a water plane, right? If it's not attached to a rudder that's in the water, right? Like it'll work at a certain airspeed. But no, the shark was really cool. I got a picture with that. I don't think anything will ever beat in FliteFest combat, at least. I don't know if you remember this, Matt, but there was a composite. Someone glassed a wing, and it was a big wing. It was like it was a big insulation foam wing a couple years ago.
Like a cut, almost like a zaggy wing kind of cut, but they glassed it.
Yeah. Okay. And that was able to go through everyone. That was easily the cream de la cream. No, I think that was pre-COVID though. I think that was like a 2019 or 2018 combat.
Yeah, I do remember it. I remember thinking, or they made it out of signboard, and they reinforced it with like metal rod, like aluminum rods, and I'm like,
oh my god, yes, that is what they did.
That's not even fair. Like, what is?
It was a signboard. Yeah, it was like, what are you supposed to do with that?
It's not even fair.
And it weighed like 15 pounds, right?
Yeah.
And it had like two massive, again, it was freaking beautiful, and they did a great job, and it did not go down, right? Like they built it big enough and strong enough. And I think that might have been, oh my god, I'm trying to think. I think I know that guy. That's oh my god.
I remember someone was just telling me about it not that long ago, and I wasn't there for it. So it must be somebody.
It's Ethan. I think Ethan built one.
Was it Ethan?
Yeah. He was really proud. He's like, yeah, nobody's gonna take this one down. And it's true, but he wasn't the only one who had that idea that year.
Well, I think Ben Harbor tried to do something very similar either last year or the year before, and had big motor on the front of it, big prop, and on a wing, and I think someone like hit the one spot he was vulnerable. He had a couple of wires that were under a single sheet of foam, and it went down almost immediately.
Yeah, and of course that person did this like, yes, it worked. Yeah. Like they specifically built that kind of takedown system, right?
It's like hitting the port on the Death Star, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, let me go to the two of the ones that I think I liked and I noted, and we'll go back to combats because that's kind of where this was. I figured that's where we're going, and then we'll talk quickly about Friends. I think that just is a general note on how I feel like how half of why I go at this point is to meet up with people I don't get to see other than that. And we'll get that second. The one I mentioned, they used the aluminum tube, the aluminum downspout creative idea for a great spar for me with that 8-foot wing. Like, I know I have 2 of those, and now I was worried about like how am I going to do the spar thing. I want it to be easy. I want it to be. I don't want to spend a ton of time trying to figure out how to build it. Like I know how to make it strong, but I mean I really don't want to spend forever doing it. And how important is it for it to be all foam board? For that, maybe not. So I was really cool to see that innovation. There's another guy who is executing an idea I had back when I was going to make the what was it, the airborne aircraft carrier where they were taking a 676 or 767 and they were putting little starfighters in it.
Yeah, where
honestly,
they
look very similar to this, and they probably at the scale of that bird, it'd be one of these. And he had built exactly what I was thinking about, like 3D printing the ribs and rolling a layer of foam around and on the inside, and then having the center be a tube carrier that just sort of pushes it along, and then they drop, and then they basically drop onto like a trapeze that rolls them out the bottom and kicks them, you know. And that's kind of what the original concept is. There's like 12 of those planes kind of stacked up, kind of like in a parking lot, you know, at an angled parking lot, inside the fuselage of the jet.
Did he get that up in the air?
He did. I think he had concerns with the control surfaces, and the landing gear did not have the strength that he was hoping he needed. So it was a little bit undersized, I think. And he was kind of like, oh, shoot. I think mostly the springs, he underestimated how much the landing forces are, right? You go, oh, well, the plane's only 1 pound, so it shouldn't be a big deal. He's like, no, you don't understand that you need 5 pounds. You need to be ready for 5 and that has to carry not just through the spring, but it's got to carry all the way through into the main, you know, into the mains. Like you can't just, you know, and I know they were considering it. You know, they'd already thought about a bunch of that, but I think they underestimated a couple things. You know, I think the springs were one. They bottomed out really quick. They weren't as steady, maybe probably the best way. You know, every time I go through the build tents, I always remark on Jarrod's stuff. That's part of why he's here. And we'll talk about, you know, again, hopefully, Jarrod, you can give me, if you don't mind, I'll either grab some Flite Test forum photos of some of the work you've done. Maybe you can share some with me directly. That you'd like to have out there, and then while we're talking, we can make sure we show people what your work is about. But every time I see some, I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing! And of course, I'm like, who did this? And you know, it's like, and then there's Jarrod. You know, it's like, oh, it's just me. He's coming back with another amazing, you know, airplane. I'm like, oh man, of course it's you. Good work, sir.
The highest of praise that I could imagine. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
I know Frank. Oh my god, why am I like I hate my brain right now because I'm trying to think of the name. Hank from the forums here. He built one of the little the Vans RV7 or whatever the Flite Test made, and he loved it. The RV12, right?
RV12. Yep.
Right, he loved it, and he's like, I'm gonna make it big. So he like scaled it up 300%, and he built it and he brought it, and it turned out beautiful. And he said it flew really well too. There's an air coupe out there that looked beautiful. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yes, that was done by, oh my god, fudge. It was done by these 2 kids, these 2 brothers, and I'm trying to remember the one kid's name. I know it's not, one sec, because I do know what it is. But he's doing, I think, National Guard for airplane mechanics now, which is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So on top of everybody kind of building planes to make sure that they had them ready for combat, and that seemed to be the majority of what I saw in the build tents. I feel like the big builds were less this year than past. I think crazy builds are almost gone for the most part, where people like randomly thought up fun things and said, maybe we'll just try it out at FliteFest, right? And like I feel like that's mostly out of the way. There's a handful of big builds. But I don't feel like there's as much, you know, I don't know. It's what I noticed. And then most of the things are geared towards combat, right?
I know the same thing. Like Peter wasn't there this year, and he's usually always doing a crazy build. But I noticed that there wasn't too many crazy builds this year when I walked through the tents, and there wasn't
Yeah.
too many big builds. But I don't.
I missed
Maybe it's
out
just
the
an off year for everybody. But
Yeah.
I don't know. There was some not there were some decent names that were missing this year, which was a bit of a bummer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe we'll talk about that at the friends and family section because I noticed that too.
Sure.
Okay, let's go back to combat. So, what did you notice about combat this year? Like, it seemed like a lot of people were geared for like combat is every 3 hours, pretty much, and it seemed like a lot of people were like going for it. How many people did you see were like excited to take their easy planes up in a combat? Anybody, Travis?
not this year. Last year, because they came out with because Ben Harbor they introduced the nature packs and stuff like that last year.
Yeah,
So everybody was gung ho about flying horses and Pegasus and whatever, and I, of course, again, I didn't see too many, but there was a few kids that come up and said, "Can I fly this in the combat?" Because we have to direct them over to the other fly field that's
right.
back
Yeah,
on the side,
Yep.
because when I'm staying on the and that's pretty important. But when it comes to combat, I told them, I said, it's all hands on deck. You want to do what you want to do. If
Yeah,
you want to
just
go
be
be.
prepared to lose your plane,
Oh my God! So we
both
had kids.
visually and physically.
Yep, we had kids coming back and asked, "Can I get two more of these?" And I was like, "What are you gonna do with them?" "We're gonna throw it in combat." And I'm like, "Oh heck yeah, sure." You know.
Yeah.
And it was primarily the F-22,
Mhm.
and but because it's a pretty stout, easy pack plane. But we had kids that they built that first one, and they said they were specifically building them to go out and throw out in combat. So I didn't get to see any of that, but yeah, I mean it's still a thing, a cheap,
Yeah.
cheap, easy plane, and it's it's a harder target because it's smaller, right? So, but
I definitely saw some of those easy packs in combat, and I did notice more of them were F-22s.
yeah,
I did see some kid had what looked like a brand new, I don't know if it's under the Park Zone brand now, but the little UMX blue and white Cub.
Yep.
I think you
yeah.
guys have seen those. I saw some kid look like a brand new one. He throws it up into combat, and I'm like, sure you want to? I even asked him, "Are you sure you want to do that, buddy? This might not be the best plane for combat. Uh, you might be disappointed in the result." But he was bound and determined. So I never saw him
Yeah.
afterward. That was but yeah, there was a lot of that kind of that sort of thing happened earlier in the week.
Yeah, definitely.
That was crazy. I do have a great combat story though. There was so I was flying an FT Edge that I had done some experimenting with before, made a bunch of weird changes to it, just playing with it. And I had done it for a while. It had served its purpose. I didn't particularly enjoy flying it a lot, but I flew fine. So I decided I was going to throw that up in combat. And so the first session I had it over there, this young man, he couldn't have been 7 or 8 years old. I'm not even sure. And his name escapes me now. Just he's standing next to me. He just looks up at me. He's like, "Hey, can I have the carcass of that airplane when you're done?" What? He's like, "Yeah, I love to rebuild stuff and take pieces and parts." And I'm like, "Kid, this is awesome. This is exactly what FliteFest is all about. You can absolutely have whatever is left of this airplane when I am done with it." And it was awesome. So I went through that session, and I don't remember if I ran out of battery or what happened, but I ended up just pancaking out into the beans and didn't damage it. I did lose a wingtip off it, and so I joked with him when I came back. I'm like, "Hey, it didn't get destroyed yet, so maybe after the next one." And so the next session, it something else happened, and it went down without significant damage, and made another joke with him. And I was walking back to where our trailer was. I went, you know, I'm good. So I went back. I yanked the motor in the ESC, and I walked back, and I found him and his dad, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm sorry, buddy. I couldn't destroy it for you, but here you go." And he was just super geeked and was having a blast doing whatever he was going to do with it. Very sharp little guy. was very impressed by him. His dad was a really good guy too. I chatted with him a little bit too.
Nice.
But that was a highlight for me. And then
That's dude. That's a great. That's just like the story I shared with Matt and on the last episode. That's exactly what it's about. And to add to that, we had kids coming up with carcasses that they dug out of the trash, and they're coming in. There's not enough room on the build tents over there. Can we use these tables? And they're trying to figure out, is there a piece of scrap foam? And I'm like, yeah, we got some scrap foam. They're digging through the trash cans of the build tents, and they're scrapping things together. And I'm like, good luck, buddy. I mean, that's what it's about. But yeah, dude, props to you, because that's exactly what.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it was so fun. I was, because you're getting ready for combat and you're just thinking about, okay, what am I gonna do? And he just, hey, can I have the pieces of your airplane when you're done? Like,
once you're left over,
first of all, what? Second, but yes, absolutely. What else do you need? I got you, buddy.
Yeah,
right. Jarrod, how many people have asked you about that with your planes? Anybody?
You mean like they want the guts for them, or?
Yeah, they're like, hey, if that doesn't work out, can I have whatever's left?
Not usually. A kid did try to come up to me. He was doing oh my god, he was doing a barter challenge. He started with like a glue stick, and he was like, I have most of a carcass of an EPO wing now. Think you can give me like an EDF or something if this crashes. Matt, I think that was the same kid that you tried to convince to get into podcasting on that Saturday night, if you remember.
Oh man, maybe. Yeah.
Oh man. I just a guilty admission, man. Oh man.
I mean, look, you got to hawk your wear, right?
Oh boy.
Yeah. What can I get for 15 glue sticks?
You're like, well,
that's great.
You're in luck today, kid. Right. 6
That's
of these
great.
stickers. You can reinforce the bottom of your wing with it. No. So what about you, Jarrod? What was the combat things that you like that stood out to you?
I think Adrian posted a bit on Facebook on the Flite Test fans page, but all of the brownouts, I wasn't able to fly in actual combat until the very last one, and that's because I have a Radio Master, and I was able to switch over to ELRS, and I had no issues from that point on. I know Adrian thinks that it's an issue that a lot more people have LRS now, so the signal is just more cluttered, and that's causing more and more brownouts for the older legacy 50 hertz frequency receivers. I don't know one way or the other. I know my own anecdotal evidence supports that, but combat was disappointing, just because of that. Everything I tossed up browned out, but other people's combat was cool. There was a kid in my build tent, Morgan. He built a giant Lancaster. He spent most of the time working on that, and he actually did put that up into combat in the end, which was awesome to see.
I saw that. That was great.
Yeah. He painted a giant Union Jack, like 3D printed nose and nacelles. Like it was pretty legit.
Yeah, it was pretty good. There's somebody figured out that the horns on cars are 12 volts. And every year they seem to bring back a plane that they put a button to run the horn, It's fantastic. That's a combat must. I'm like, there it is. They brought it back. Nice.
We at our hotel we had. Go ahead.
No, you're good, man.
At our hotel where Trevor and I was staying, we was staying at the Palomino or whatever the little hotel right down from Edgewater, and there was a kid there that had some of those spinners. You put the spinner whistle, you put a motor on it and it winds up really fast. And he had printed a bunch of them, and he was just handed Trevor one, and Trevor's like, "I'm sorry, buddy, I'm not gonna be able to use this." He goes, "Just take it anyhow. I'm gonna pass these things out, and I want to see people put them on airplanes and stuff like that." But I don't know how this kid did it, but he had a Kraken that he 3D printed the whole thing.
What?
And yes. And Trevor and I just kind of stood there, and he 3D printed it red, white, and blue. And it was very, and his mom was standing there. She's like, I can't believe he's going to throw that up in combat. And he goes, that's what I built it for. And I'm even thinking myself, I'm like, it was so, I don't know what kind of 3D printer he used. I mean, we have all had our ups and downs that have played with 3D printers and the printing failures, because it always prints 15 hours and then fails the last 30 minutes. But I mean, this thing was like, it was just so eloquently put together and so beautiful. I was like, dude, how did you get it to, I don't know what kind of 3D printer he was using, but man, he had it down, and it looked so good. It looked like it was manufactured.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, but whether he ever threw that up or not, and I guess now that we're sitting here talking about that was probably one of the things that I did see, but that wasn't in the build tents at all. But I picked it up super, super light, super, super beautifully printed. But his mom she's like, tell him not to put that in the combat. And he goes, I could tell the expression on the kid's face was like, shut up, Mom. But he didn't want to say that, but yeah, he handed me one of those little motor spinner whiner things, but yeah, the horn, the train horn and the horn, but yeah, so.
Well, yeah, if you're listening to this and you did see that kid throw that 3D printed Kraken into the sky, red, white, and blue, tell us about it. Share a picture if you could. I'd love to see it. I'm trying to remember. I'm not going to be able to do it now and go through the 2025 archive. A lot of people posted a bunch of different pictures. There's a lot to look through. I'm going to see if I can't smatter some of that in the back of this. So anyway, I think let's. I know that one of the events that I noticed was missing. There used to be like build groups, like where somebody would say, "Hey, look, if you want to build this plane of mine, I'm going to bring like 100. We're going to have 3 classes. Smons is a good example." And he goes, "I just, if you want to build the Wonders, come on by, come to the class. You're going to buy kit, right? You got to buy the motors from Flite Test, and you just put it up. I'm going to show you how to build it. I'm going to build it here. We'll build it here together. I'll show you, walk you through the deal." And I felt like that was a good way to step from that STEM tent easy.
Right.
I noticed I felt like that was missing. It wasn't here this year.
You think that's because, well, Don, is it Dan or Don?
I don't know.
Dan.
Dan,
Dan Spons. Did you guys feel like that was missing, or you know what I mean? Like, is that something you're like, man, that's right. That would have been really cool to have one of those going on.
I don't know. I mean, Dan was there. He was he threw up the little air hogs, was the second secret build.
Yeah.
He got sick, man. I don't know. He just
the intruder, I think, is what he called it.
Yeah, the intruder. But he was there, and that was the first time I actually had met him. We had talked a couple times before on some online stuff, but yeah, I don't know. So some of those bigger builds, outside of using one side of the for stem and then the other side for a bigger build, I kind of thought that was missing myself a little bit,
Yeah, like that step to go from here's a little stuff. Now you want to do that. You did well. Take those skills and let's teach you how to build a really good beginner starter plane. We'll help you get it set up so you can go fly with the big boys in the combats and have a plane that could probably do some damage.
So, and I noticed that here in the past year or so, I know that Flite Test has introduced full-on packs. It comes with a remote and all the electronics and the beginner plane all in one box. And I think they should probably, just my opinion, I think they should probably have a class. You go buy this trainer aircraft that comes with your remote, and we do a full class. There's only so many students. I think, because, yeah, you're right. Get it away from the little easy packs and stuff, which are absolutely fun, and it does its job. Now let's get you
we're flying right, full scale EDF jets and working in towards balsa stuff, and
Yeah.
look, the guys in my field are like, no, really, you need to get into the full scale jets, you know, and they're like, come on, light it up, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm
But
like, but these little guys are a lot of fun, and
oh,
I'm
yeah.
having as much fun with these as I would trying to figure out those,
But yeah, and you're right. And some of those kids are like, what's the next level? What's and
what's
that's
the
what
next
it's
step?
about. And get them introduced into a full on building electronics, and and
Hmm.
binding it, and and understanding what servos do, and how they control the control surfaces and what the control surfaces are. And yeah, I agree. And with those packs, I think, again, my opinion, maybe that's something that I'll talk with Trevor about. Maybe this class is designed because going through some of the old boxes that we was pulling out of the containers and stuff, they had the it was the mini tenant or whatever it was that they was
Yeah,
doing a couple
I was
years
gonna say the tenant
prior.
probably.
Yeah, the tenant, and
It's a
that's
good
what that
start.
plane was designed for, was to take you from the easy packs to a full on RC airplane now.
Right.
Uh, and I think
And
that was
there's
just a spinoff. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's so many to choose from though. There's there
Right.
that you could offer that with. I mean, you
Mm.
pick any one of the mini Tenet, the FT Explorer, and the Arrow. An Arrow would be great for a first combat plane for a
Right.
lot of people. And you pair it with a Radio Master Pocket or something like that, and it's you could easily put something together in a
Yep.
class.
And you're right. You're absolutely right, Brian. Is that they do have that Radio Master Pocket that has their programming preset.
Right.
And we
Makes it
did
simple.
have a class. We did absolutely, and Trevor did it. I think we did 2 classes on that Radio Master Pocket.
It's a
Uh,
great
you
little
know,
controller.
it great, absolutely fantastic. And Trevor and I was sitting up the night before to just kind of playing with it. Just kind of making sure that he's got his understanding of it so that he can present it as a class. And he took care of that class. But I think that absolutely needs to lead into, like you said, maybe we do a plane build designed for getting you in combat.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Something.
a beginner combat course.
The Noob
Yeah.
Wonder is an excellent combat plane.
That would be another
Yeah,
good one.
yeah, like just like Dan Spawn's old Red Baron. That was just
Right.
that
Same
that
idea.
yeah,
Mhm.
that thing was just tried, tested, and true. It's just like yeah, absolutely. But I think some of that was missing this year, and I don't. That's not
Yeah.
my decision. I can't make that decision. But
To me, it's like some of those were community based, right? And then it's up to us, the community, to make sure that like, no, we want this, and I'll lead it. What do I need to do to help? Let's get this going. Let's
So
bring it around
bottom line, it
to
was Matt's fault that it wasn't there. Is really
I
what it
agree.
comes down to.
it's my fault. Yep.
I will say in the build tents this
My
year, I
mistake.
did miss the boxes of Flite Test foam that was ready and available for anyone to to patch their combat plane with or do whatever they needed to have done in those build tents. I don't know if that's why we saw maybe fewer larger builds, but might have played a factor in it.
Yeah, I
That's it.
think, and I feel like I've been there when I first got there. There was ample foam all the time. In other years, and I feel like those are the years that crazy builds got built. Like the guy who made a hat out of the thing, and then they put wings on it, and then they, whatever. And they came up with the one guy's like, "Oh, I got a trash can I bought at the store. I'm gonna put a stupid motor on it. I'm building the wings here from the phone, whatever we got here." And there's a lot of that in the past, and I feel like there's more just kit builds, and like either you built it and brought it from home, and less of that. And I think part of that has to do with I can't. There was a couple of years ago, like I came with the understanding there would be foam available, right?
right.
Because in all the previous years, they were definitely there. And so I had this thing and I was like, I will finish this. And it did not happen because there was definitely no foam. And I'm like, I'm not going to go down to the local Dollar Tree that has absolutely no foam because it's been stripped bare. I'm like, that's okay. I don't need that. I'm going to stress about that. But I feel like that is something, and I know that runs a tightrope too, right? You dump out a bunch of foam for everybody, and if the humidity's bad, the foam kind of goes bad before people use it, or people hoard a whole pile of it.
I think
And
I think that hoarding was a major issue
And they're like,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't want that.
yeah, and nobody does. And I remember a couple of years, not even the Flite Fest, but some of the little local events that they had at Edgewater Park. They did the foam, and they put it
Mhm.
out, and they had signs: "Please only take 1 or 2 sheets. Leave enough
Yeah.
for everybody else."
Yeah, have them available. I also remember they brought it out like they would bring out Saturday only,
Yeah,
Friday night, Saturday only, and that way you couldn't abuse it.
yeah,
And it was more for the people who were coming in to just check out what this is all about. Like wanted to have them have stuff there to be able to build whatever they dream up, right? Like go buy a kit, do that, use that stuff after you crash it to go, Frankenstein another thing together, and go fly it.
So that was
Yeah,
an
that's
issue.
totally fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't, everybody's going to abuse everything. You do a good favor, and there are those people that will abuse it.
Yeah.
The only other thing I can think
I
of
don't
is they
mind.
push that maker foam quite a little bit. And
Mhm.
on the F-22s, if you paid attention, they went back and cut the F-22s out of the old just the standard Adams Ready board. They didn't use the maker foam because the
Yep.
maker foam with I don't know if it's a waterproofing and the thickness of the paper made that F-22 just a little bit heavy for an easy pack.
Heavier. Yeah.
So and we had in the stem tent, we had some that they were cutting them out of maker foam, and it's like they stopped halfway through saying stop using the maker foam. And
Use the regular stuff.
they just went and had Adams Ready board. So we used the Adams Ready board until they ran out, and then we went back to the maker foam. So I don't, and I'm sure that costs them a chunk of money. I'm sure they have to buy truckloads of that. And
Yep. You
and
don't buy it by the small bundle. You buy it by the truck.
yeah, and I mean,
I talked to the guy who did Depron. It's like the only way he's able to get Depron here is he had to buy a shipping container. That's how he
yep,
buys it. And it's like,
yep,
yeah, that's like a year's supply. Like, well, if you want it,
right, right. And in the years past when they was using the brown foam board, I remember Josh talking about all the brown foam board that they gave away is the stuff that didn't pass the thickness, the thickness of the actual foam when they got it shipped, and it was a rejected pallet. So
okay,
Adam's Ready Board was just like, just give it away. So
okay,
most of that stuff that was given away, and
they've worked through those kinks. Yeah,
yeah, and they've
that's good.
got, so they're producing a quality product, and there's probably not enough left
Hey,
over
Adam's
rejected.
Ready Board,
Yeah,
mess up more of your stuff for us, okay?
yeah,
Do worse in production.
Kidding, don't do that.
And they were there last year in full force, and I mean they were,
Yeah.
and I remember talking to a few of them, and they were just like, they were mind blown, but they were also taking pictures, and they were also investigating their own product, and I don't
Yeah.
know, you know
I tried to get a hold of them. They never got back to me. I got to reach out to them again. And usually the persistence of like, hey, how about now? How about now? How about it tends to get me some interviews. Not always, but like when you talk about some of the other names, like Adam's Ready Board, like I feel like we're small potatoes. But at the same point, I know that this blip that Flite Test has put on their radar, it's got to put a big blip on their radar. I don't know the daily use is pretty minimal. It's like teachers, when you have protests.
Oh.
I'm trying to think, science fair projects, right? Those are
Yeah,
the
so yeah, they used to make those trifold and half thickness foam
oh yeah,
board things. You can't even find those anymore.
no.
So it's just
Dollar
um
General
yeah,
used to have those. Dollar Tree
yep,
used to have the regular, and I used to I could make half scale plots and make half scale planes. They would weigh more per
right,
size because they still weighed the same. It's the same amount of foam, but half the thickness. But you could
yep.
still make them the same way. Yeah.
So yeah, I I don't know, but maybe I don't know. But they absolutely, I'm sure they did their research last year when they were there. And I remember talking to Jen about it, and she goes, "This is the first time I have ever seen Adam's Ready Board here out of all
Yeah.
the years of doing it." And I don't know if they had talks or discussions or not. That's beyond me. But
Yeah.
it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder if they were up in production. But they have to realize that this is a huge draw for their product. Huge draw.
I think so.
You know.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's the only time that their name gets out there. I mean, you go to the dollar store or the Dollar Tree, whatever. You're just, hey, give me some of that foam board. But
That's it.
that people know from the Flite Test folks, they know to get Adams ready board.
Mhm.
They know that's the one to go get, and the maker foam. It's the only it's the only way that it's specific.
Yeah, and Josh, the team does a really good job on pushing that, because you always hear about the Adams Ready foam board runway at
Yeah,
Edgewater
Mhm.
Park,
exactly.
Such a
but
smart investment on their part.
absolutely,
Every video, right?
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
But
So-
anyhow,
So let's move along to the people and the friends. Anybody want to give me an anecdote or two, a quick one about the people they've met or people they got to hang out with? That's like, as the Flite Test motto or the Flite Fest motto goes, you bring the planes.
The people you love.
What is it? The friends you love and the planes you don't.
Yeah.
I think. So let's talk about the friends that we got to see there, or the ones that we didn't get a chance to catch up with. I mean, I know there's a whole red shirt crew that wasn't able to make it this year, and so some of those guys are good. Like Tim, he's he and I are always kibitzing about what kind of ridiculous something we're going to build this year. Last year we were going to build manta rays. I went a totally different route and went more the podcast and made the twin Noob Wonder, those 300%. I figured that was a better way, but I totally did not get to the manta ray project with him, and that's disappointing. I feel terrible. But I also know, I don't know about you, but life seemed to have kicked in high gear this last year and made it I don't even know, you know. Tell me about the people you met.
I don't know. I mean,
Well,
yeah,
you met a
good
guy
friend.
from Germany, right? I met a guy from Argentina.
Yeah, we talked about this on the last episode, and we talked about the kid. I'm trying to think of what his name was that we put that challenge out in the STEM tent, and they were from Italy.
Yeah.
Spoke fluent English, but it's just. And then the foreign exchange student that we had from Germany, and there's another kid that is teaching I think he's a Catholic school or something like that. His name is Sebastian, and I met
Okay.
him a year or so ago, and he works with Trevor a lot. He's in New York, and I didn't understand that getting curriculum in a school system in New York is like trying to own a cab in New York. You got to know somebody to bring something in, and so he hit me up last year, and I was just like, I hit him halfway through the year, and I said, "How's things going, Sebastian?" And he goes, I can't buy Flite Test foam board. I can't buy Flite Test pre-made packs because the school system won't let it in because it's not something that New York school systems recognize, and this and that and the other." And I said, "You know what I'm
Right.
going to do? I got my own laser cutter. I've got a bunch of foam board laying around. I'm going to catch a bunch of gliders, dude, and I'll just send them in under the radar." And he sent me back a video of those kids. And I think I sent him it was just a real simple glider that I was just screwing around with, my own. And I just sent him a box of 40 of them and to my own expense. And this year, at the end of all of it, Sebastian showed up again. That's one guy that I have met, and understanding his trials and tribulations of getting foam board airplanes into New York school systems is a chore in itself. And I met another lady, Leona, I think is her name, kind of in the same thing. I think she's in New Jersey or New York. She's kind of got the same issue. And like I said, there was a lot of teachers there this year.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's tough to order something, to have it come into the school system, and have a flight test box on it and this and that and the other. And she was kind of, how do I get this in under the table so that I can get it? And so at the end of the day, I don't know the friendship between Sebastian and Trevor, but Trevor was like, man, we got tons of those foam board planes that are from 4 and 5 years ago. We got to get rid of these things because, like you said, they're starting to soak up moisture and the paper's starting to separate from the foam.
It starts to do weird things.
It starts to do weird things. And I was looking through the box and he was showing me. I was like, oh, he goes, I can't use these. I can't, And so we ended up. Sebastian drove. We ended up packing them in his car, and I've got a picture of the back of his car just completely packed, with some of these 4 and 5 year old gliders, and some of those were the Ventures, and that was one of the things that, we both ran it by Josh, expecting to, and Josh was like, man, I got a bigger heart than that. Absolutely. I'll help out. If they're leftover stuff, give it to him. I got a way bigger heart than that. Absolutely. If they're having a hard time, and that was, that's what we talked about earlier, but getting to meet Sebastian and Leona, and understanding their own trials and tribulations, is just getting this into their local school systems. It's holy cow.
Yeah, I always imagined it'd be easy to just come up to your local place and say, look, this is what I do. These are the things I build.
Right.
It sparks this. These are the educational ramifications of it. Help me get this spark going here. Right? It's not going to be every kid, but if you expose people who are sort of interested, you're going to have like 2% maybe, or 2 out of every 10 to 20%. Sorry, let me get the math right. But like those 2 kids are going to be, you'll have changed their world, right? They're going to be like Jarrod. He's like, no, I'm doing this. I'm doing it.
Yeah,
let's get in and let's do it.
So yeah, so I mean, and I told Sebastian, he goes, what do you want for these planes? I was like, nothing, dude. I don't want anything. I'm just trying to help you out. And so him and I have become friends. And he truly, I said, dude, when you do this class, just send me a video. And and it was 30 or 40 kids, and I still have that video somewhere. And Sebastian was there that night, and that we've told Josh that we're going to give Sebastian these planes because he's having a hard time getting planes in. And I think that's when we showed Josh that video of those kids and the excitement he had in his own classroom from those gliders and some other things. I think that's when kind of it struck Josh pretty. I mean, you kind of almost seen the emotion rush across his face, and he's like, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. And he said, yeah, absolutely, give him the planes. Absolutely. But so people that I've met, Sebastian and Leona, and like I said, it's tough to understand that when you're not around it, that you can't just buy something and put it in the classroom without it getting approved through this class or getting approved through this administrator.
Or it's got to be part of already done through a part of a curriculum that already has that kind of sectioned out and described well enough that you can, it's like, oh, that's not fitting into the curriculum. I'm like,
or we just don't have room for that in this school because it's not approved through who knows what they go through. But thank God I live in Kansas, man. It's a terrible state, but there's a lot of freedom, man. Just because it sucks, But so I don't know. That's my experience with meeting new people, But
yeah, absolutely. Jarrod, what about you? I know you with your planes out the way they are, you must meet a ton of people.
Yeah, I do get a lot of comments. It upset me to no end that the first day, at least, the biggest draw was the XF5U that I laser cut out. The one that Dan and Dale designed, right, for that World War II design challenge, and I'd let my younger sister paint it up. And I'd built one before, and I didn't want it to be dark blue. even though that is the historical accurate
It is.
representation, right?
Right. It's a naval plane, right?
It's a naval plane, yep, from 1945 or 46. And I was like, you know what, do whatever you want, just don't make it all blue. And she painted it up like a ladybug because it's got that oval shape.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it looked amazing. And
Yeah.
it upset me to no end that everyone would come through. They'd be like, oh my God, that ladybug. And then they'd ignore everything else that I'd spent months
Right.
on. But
Right. Yeah.
completely warranted. It looked really, really good. No, the ladybug was great.
Look, you built an AR-555, which is an experimental long-range bomber that the Germans designed to bomb America, right? Because they were like, we may have to do it, and they realized by the time they got closer, they didn't have time for it.
No.
We'll kind of miss the history of this, but the model's well done. I think you made liberties with how many engines, although if you look at the history, there's like 14 versions, all with a different assortment and collection of jet engines on it.
There's 14 different versions.
Yeah.
The AR-555-2 has 2 engines on the top.
Just 2
and
engines,
because none of them were ever built, each iteration is equally valid.
And it's ridiculous. You look through it just and look at the variations, but it's all like, how many motors? Where are we going to stick them here? Oh, here. Yeah, it's and you painted it beautifully. Like it's amazing. It's an incredibly incredible look. It's not, like most of the planes when you get through with them, they look either historically accurate or just well painted. And that plane, that ladybug, is sitting next to this other gorgeous plane. Or the starfighters, right? Which are well built. They look sharp, right?
No.
And now, not ladybug. How do you do that? What's that? Who's that?
Ladybug.
I mean, for the most of the day, it was sitting on top of the Su-57. I was just like, cool.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Su-57, freaking gorgeous plane. Very few people have managed to pull that off successfully, and you painted it beautifully.
Thank you. Yeah, I love.
Well done.
This is terrible. I know I love the Russian Federation paint scheme, but I was like, nah, I want it full Ukrainian blue colors. I think that looks cooler for the moment. But for actual people in the build tent, I'm gonna bring up the Lancaster again. Morgan, that kid from the UK, he was great. I spent a decent bit of time with the guys who designed the Aero Coupe, whose name I remembered as Jed Bench. Him and his older brother. They had a lot of questions about the design work, but they were great. As usual, I spent a chunk of time with Keegan Sponholes and Adrian Chupp. They're pretty great.
Starfighter on the Discord.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
And then I guess I'd just point out that some of the people who were missing. Well, the Brad Newby was also next to me. That was really fun. And then John Flatch was around. I missed his F-22 maiden though, which was a bummer. But I heard he lost control and crashed it he crashed it past the road. Like
I know a guy who did something like that.
Probably right next to my Tomcat.
Brian's like, hey man, I'm about to launch a Tomcat. I'm like, hold on, let me get there, right? And I get up and I'm watching. I'm like, I think I helped you. I don't know, did I help you launch that?
Yeah, you did. The hand launch was great. I wish I could blame it on the hand launch.
I know, right? No, but and he had the same kind of thing where, and he wasn't the only person that once you went over that road, it was fair game for signal loss. Apparently,
no, I was having problems way beyond that. It was a swing wing servo broken or something.
Well, I'm sorry the F-22 got. Yeah. Anybody else? I mean, I can't even.
There were a bunch of kids. One night, this kid came through, and the dad did. I don't know how old he was. Maybe 8, right? And he just came through. I'd met him years in previous Flite Fests years, but the dad just did a great job of not really involving himself, right? Of kind of stepping back and letting the kid walk up to me, introduce himself, ask smart questions about the planes and how they were designed. And the dad was just sitting back there like, hey, this is his show. Like I'm treating him as an adult learning about this hobby that interests him. And I was super impressed by that. Super impressed by the kid asking all these great questions about it, knowing most of the planes, having smart questions. And then there was a different day. There was a Saturday. There was a I think he was a little older, 12 or 13-year-old, who he knew a lot, like a surprising amount. Like he was able to recognize the F8 Crusader squadron that I painted it up as, and I was just like, holy crap, man! Like that's a level of knowledge I was not expecting. But that kid was great too. Yeah, no, a whole bunch of really smart and really thoughtful kids walking around asking great questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
And
I
then
want to. I was going to say when you're done, let me. I want to piggyback on that idea. Go ahead.
Sure. And then I would just mention some of the people that were missing this year, right? No Nick Rem.
Hmm.
He made the giant flying thing. I know he's getting married this summer though, so that's a pretty decent
Pretty
reason
good
not
excuse.
to.
Yeah,
It's
he
a
made
pretty good excuse.
the cockpit chair that moved, so that when you're in your FPV goggles,
Yeah.
it moved. So it was like a simulator,
Yeah.
but you were flying in your plane.
No, that was
That's,
Michael Recton, and he was
that's
also
Michael
not
Rector,
there.
right?
Yeah.
He did the whirly bird or the whirly gig
Yes.
last
Nick
year.
Rim did the whirly gig, which was
Yeah.
weird, but it was really cool. And then
Right. Sorry, I got it mixed
Jack
up.
and Steve over at 13th Squadron, they also
Yes.
missed this year, which is a
Yeah.
bummer because
It sounds like they were working very hard on the release of their new, their
the
first
F-109, yeah.
official kit plane that they've released.
Yeah, my kit came on Friday. Pretty excited to start working on that.
Yeah, I totally missed to hit the go button. I got to go back. Is it is that a printed skin that they put on that, or is it just an amazing paint job?
No, Steve painted it.
It figures.
Like he spray painted it. He didn't even acrylic paint it. He just spray
Oh,
painted it,
that guy.
which is what you get from
Almost like
a
another guy
professional
now.
graphic designer, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Thanks, Travis.
It's tools of the trade, man. Tools of the trade, brother.
No, I know.
It's
It looks
crazy.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So
You should be making anything look that good that can crash. That's all I think.
It's yeah,
Too
hey
much
man,
stress.
when you release him on it, man, and that's his gig, he's into it. It's just you ain't gonna stop him, man, and he's always gonna make it look. Because I mean, it's a passion. It truly is.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't
It's
even think
just
we'll
like
get. Maybe we'll talk about. Oh, I'm sorry, Travis. I think you dropped out
no,
for a second there.
yeah, no.
It's all
It's
good.
just yeah, like I said, man, when you release somebody that's an artist like that, and if that's their tool, and you say, hey, make it look cool, and you're not even thinking about making it look super cool, and he's like, I'm gonna take this above and beyond because that's what I do. It's his. That's that person's. I trust me. I'm fully
Yeah.
into that. And that's what got me all the way into Harley Davidson's doors. Is
Mm-hmm.
because it was a passion, it was a drive, it was just like, man, I wake
Like,
up in the
I'm
middle
not
of the
just
night.
gonna do what you want. I'm gonna make it way better than you expected.
Exactly, and most
Because
people are like,
I want to
that's
see it look that awesome.
right. Yep,
Yep.
exactly. So not to interrupt, Jared, but that's yeah.
No, it's good.
But
Yeah, it's true. I was thinking, I'm like, did I miss them? Like it turns out,
No.
yeah, they were not. But I think it might have been a big part of it. Is that they were putting together that kit because it didn't come much later.
No, I think that dropped mid-September, like 3 weeks later.
Or
Yeah.
mid-July, yeah.
Mid-July, yes. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that's a lot of work on their part. Let's see.
I feel antisocial. I've not met a lot of these guys.
What?
But I will
Well,
tell
I'll
you,
have to bring you around. I'll have to tell you, stop hanging out with your family. Forget those
Yeah.
people. You see them every day. You come with me, and I'll introduce you to everybody else.
Brian,
I will
if you don't
say-
mind me asking, what was the F-14 painted up like?
It was white. It was the Super Tomcat, the first.
I saw
14
that.
Super
What
Tomcat.
happened to it? I remember I walked over when you were flying it. I don't think I said hi though.
No, and I think I had said something about a couple of your planes as I saw you along, but I don't think we had a conversation. But no, I had it took off just fine. The hand launch was fine. Would love to have blamed it on Matt, but I can't. Something
Maybe next time.
in transit somewhere along the way. either one of the wing sweep servos went bad, or the mechanism broke. I haven't had the heart to tear into it yet. It's sitting about 6 feet to my left here. But the wing collapsed to the rear. I had a 360 camera on it. It's the only reason I know exactly what happened. And it just started uncommanded roll to the left. And I got it all the way down to the end of the field. It just would roll over, and I'd kind of stabilize it for a second. It would slowly keep rolling, and it just got worse and worse. And I was going to try to bring it around to save it. I didn't know it was the wing sweep. Otherwise, I would have put the other one all the way back and then try to salvage it that way.
Sure.
Eventually, I couldn't hold it anymore, and it slapped down into the cornfield on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
So
that's such a bummer.
I got some.
It was a beautiful plane.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was a fun build. It was a really fun, challenging build.
Yeah, I regret not picking up one of those kits when it was an option.
That's my biggest regret now, is with the damages, that it's like I can't build another one. So now I gotta fix the pieces. Unless
where'd you say you were at?
I'm in Detroit.
Okay.
Like that's a weekend trip. We could do
That's
this.
not that far.
Yeah, come on by.
It's a quick flight.
So what I've done, I got the F-18 and I got the ME-262. The ME-262 I won in a combat years ago when it came out. But for both of those, before I built them, I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of Shaper Trace.
Yeah.
It is.
Nope.
Brian, you have heard of them.
I am. I'm familiar. Yes.
So you can actually draw something out. It's essentially a picture frame, and you take a picture with it, and it has dots all the way around the frame, if you will. So it knows the exact location, and you're using black ink on white paper. The contrast needs to be high, but it's then able to export an SVG or a DXF of the exact dimensions of whatever you traced in, which is incredibly helpful. So what I did for both the F-18 and the 262 is I traced out the parts, almost all of them, before I started building it. So I have full digital plans at this point of the FT262 and the FT Super Hornet. The Super Hornet's amazing. Super happy I traced that out. But in the event of any crashes or any mess ups with those parts, I can just export that and make a new one. And damn, I'm looking for an F-14 to be able to do that too, because that is
I wish I'd realized
plane.
that, because I had just built this one. It had been sitting on my shelf for 2 years now.
Damn.
And what's even worse is I have a Shaper Trace.
It's a lot of work.
I have never used it, and offline sometime we'll have to talk about it, because it's a small picture frame.
Yeah, it's an 8x12.
How you got the whole thing? But
essentially, sure. But essentially, the tiled format of a PDF, right, of those larger scaled plans, and just making those notches and going through and making sure the notches overlap, and then stitching it together in post. Which again, it's a bit of work.
Yeah. Makes sense. In hindsight, I wish I'd done that on the Tomcat, but that's okay. I think what I've got is rebuildable. I had done some light fiberglassing of the bottom of the nacelles, and a lot of carbon reinforcement. Thanks to Windcatcher, I'll plug Lee. I used a lot of his carbon. He's a good friend of mine. I like to tease him about that stuff. But
no, you're good. The V22 that I mentioned at the beginning, that is Lee carbon fiber for the main tube. No, absolutely.
Fantastic. But I had put a lot of reinforcement into it, and it's actually potentially rebuildable. So
cool.
Nice.
I just gotta get around to it.
Good. Then you could make it orange and call it Tomcat à l'orange.
Yeah. Thanks. I do have to build another Sea Duck. I put Sea Duck Rev 6 into combat at the one of the later combat sessions this year. So we're on to lucky number 7 of Sea Duck à l'orange. So that'll be fun to build.
I want to shout out to all the families who I've seen in the build tents, in the STEM tents, and I see them now in the build tents going hog wild on trying to figure out a new this or that. And like, I thought, there's one kid just started talking to him, and it was more just like kind of past them in the food thing. And it's like, hey, how's it going? Hey, he seems, and he was like, oh, really cool. And I said, are you enjoying this? And he's like, and like he lit up, and I could tell like he was just so excited to be able to share. And his mom had was behind him going, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, it's so crazy to see. So anyway, he moved on and kept doing the thing. And I talked to his mom. He's like, it's so crazy. He's like, Mom, I finally found my people.
Found my people.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, that's so incredible. And I just kind of checked in with him, and again, met up with a bunch of people, the Killians, I think we interviewed a while back. I ran into them again, and they're like, he's like, the dad's like, oh my God, these kids are doing such great stuff, like and it's really cool to watch them kind of grow in the hobby, but like how their interests, are growing in what they want to do, you know what I mean? And it's just cool. It's cool to watch these, as you see them year after year, and it's like, oh, cool. You guys are taking on bigger and bigger stuff. And I can see that, some of them, it's like, oh, I just enjoy doing this. And some of the kids, like, they're on fire, much like you, Jarrod, you're just like, holy cow, man, you're building what? And you're like, oh, I'm like, don't, what, don't do that.
No, it's amazing to see the RC planes. They just weren't really a thing. Even until I was towards the end of high school. I know that dates me a little bit, with like the Flite Test stuff.
It was my 40th birthday when I got started, so that dates me.
Sure. But no, I'm so glad to see it, because before, RC airplanes were the part of the door that opened up engineering for me, but that was more like Horizon, Airhogs stuff when I was younger. And I'm just glad that it exists for more people. Yeah.
I didn't get to spend a lot of time in the build tents, not nearly as much as I would have liked. But that was always my favorite thing when I would get to walk through, is seeing the younger kids. I mean, the crazy builds are great, but seeing the younger kids just being just pumped up and excited, and just the passion. We talked about the passion earlier, and the having that passion for anything in particular will open all kinds of doors. And to see these kids that excited about airplanes and aviation is just, it's awesome. It is just awesome. And Jarrod, the one kid that you mentioned, I would be shocked if it was not the same young man that asked for my
carcass,
the shattered remains of my FT Edge.
I'm absolutely sure it was. Yeah.
I also like to tip a hat, like we talked about earlier, to all the support parents. That's what I started calling them. Last year or 2 years ago, when Joe and I were doing the two giant Noob wonders, right? He was putting lights in his, and I was still trying to fix up the damage that I had caused like the week before to the other one, and down the way, and I ran into them again. It's Martha and her child. I can't remember his name right now, but I see him in my head perfectly clear. And he's doing his thing, like he's jamming out. He's having a great old time. And Martha's just sitting in her chair doing her thing. She's like my age, and and she's probably younger than me, but and she's reading a book, and then she's got a little hold on. Are you thirsty? And then she's like, look at us, like, how about you guys? You guys want some water? No? Okay. Just granola bar? I mean, I got a couple, and then that's all. And then she's like, oh, okay, cool. And then whenever stuff was happening, she'd go grab her camera and make sure that she's getting the video and doing the thing. And then she'd come back and help him bring it back. And then she'd just sit down and let him do his thing. And I noticed, like, this year with all the extra, I feel like as the younger kids are growing up, there's all those parents, and like this woman that I was talking to, but when her kid was just like, I found my people. Like, she was a sport parent, and she'd run into other parents who are in the same boat. They're there just to make sure their kids having a great old time, and they have everything they need so they can just geek out, And we need to get shirts for them that just say support parent, kind of like a support animal. That's not. I'm not trying to degrade them, but I mean, like, kind of that theme, that look, and just like support parent, support mom, support dad.
You can include my wife in that group.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah. Your wife is a good example. Yeah, she's a perfect example. Like, she's not going to fly. She'll take some video. She'll clap. She'll help bring things back and forth. But, like, yeah, she doesn't want to have anything to do with it. But she's there in case you need anything. She's got dinner ready. Don't worry. It's fantastic. Yeah, definitely need to get a handful of shirts for next year to pass them out. Like here you
Poor
go.
parent.
Yeah, support parent. Just to make sure everybody knows, like you're not part of the craziness, but without you, where would we be? You know. Thank you so much.
So, is there anybody out there that kind of noticed something new this year that they just had never noticed before? I mean, it's a different between it because Trevor has been there. I think almost every year, and we was sitting there talking, and he noticed something that and we pointed it out. I had never noticed it before.
What's that?
So when we left, we was leaving at 9 and 10 o'clock at night, and people were night flying, and we were driving out through the back part of the gate, and he has a little route. He's been there 100 times, and and took a little route back to the hotel. And what we noticed was the local people sitting out in their lawns and had little campfires in the end of their driveway, just watching the planes like it's the 4th of July. And
wow.
and I was just like, he stopped. He's like, "What are these people doing?" And I was
What's the
like,
fun?
"Yeah, the local people sit out on the end of their driveways and watch the people fly airplanes at night." And he goes, I said, "I never noticed that either."
They're
But
out in the day too. They're out there in the daytime sometimes
during
too.
the daytime too.
I've seen them. I've seen them for a few years now. Yeah, it's
I
crazy. It
I
cracked me up the first time I saw it.
it's
I'm on the tent side usually, so I don't go in and out that entrance where there's the
Yeah,
houses.
the ones I've seen are on the RV side. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess it is. Yeah, I guess it would be on the RV side, but you go out that back side, and there's houses that are across the road, and
Yeah,
all those people. That's entertainment. Like they're out there watching a movie. It's
yeah.
it was and Trevor was like, I never noticed that before, but I mean, if you live there, absolutely. Just
yeah.
and that's what I meant by has anybody ever noticed anything they never noticed before? But
Right.
yeah, it
I
was.
wonder if the property gets sold, right, and they have to move it. Do you think
Yeah,
that they'll petition the town to just say, "Hey, can we run it in this park or a church and say, "Hey, can we run it off the property?"
I was.
Because there's a couple spots like driving in. I mean, there's a couple intersections where it is absolutely nothing. There's like a mega church or a big kind of barn church in the corner, and there's like other than that, it's flat and open on all the corners, right? So I could see that being like, yeah, we'll forego this, and everybody does their thing, and you use the facility, and doing that kind
So
of
I'm
deal.
sure they'll ask whoever buys the property.
I hope
But
so.
So
hopefully,
the lady that owns the Palominian, I'm going to butcher the name. The little motel that's just down the street from the Edgewater Park.
Okay,
The
Pomeranian,
Palmeranian, I think is what it is. And I got
like
the
after the dog. Yeah.
yeah. The lady that owns that and her husband. We were talking when I showed up, and uh, she was telling me her disgruntleism or discouragement or whatever. She was just because that's a different little town than what Edgewater Park is in.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, it is.
and she was talking about how disgruntled she was because of, small towns like that. Everybody knows everybody's business and everybody gossips and this and that and the other. And she was in that town talking about, I don't understand why you guys don't help cater to Flite Fest or Flite Test because of what it brings into your town. And she was at some of those little local meetings and she was expressing her frustration. And she said that the only answer I get is all the time is this that I think is it Malvern or Melvern? I'm
Malvern.
gonna Melvern.
Malvern. Yep.
Yep. And she said that she was going to help support Flite Test in bringing such an event into their town, and because she owns a hotel and that fills up her hotel for the week,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
and so she was at some of these meetings and she was expressing her opinion on it, and the response she got is that Melbourne is just a really tough nut to crack.
Huh.
And it's just like she goes it's just like, but Flite Test brings in hundreds of people this whole week, you know, and
Mhm.
so it's just kind of one of those things. It's a small town thing, and I don't know. It's kind of discouraging, you know, but I don't know. So it's kind of one of those things. But
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess to each their own. I mean, I imagine they're just going to find a different facility,
yeah,
you know,
so I mean
or they'll like shut down the golf course or something.
well, that's exactly it. I mean, what is the town going to really support it if they have to relocate, or you know what I mean, or what do they relocate? You know, because that's Trevor and I was talking about that, and Trevor goes, I've seen all these for sale signs. This lot for sale and that lot for sale and that lot for
Mhm.
sale. Um, man, it kind of it's like the future kind of looks dim and glim, but it's just like, gosh, you know what's going to happen? What's going to happen in the future of Flite Fest? You know, nobody
Yeah.
really knows right now. But
No, you don't, and you can only just hope that there's contingency plans, right? I mean, when you've got I don't know how they operate their stuff. I know larger scale companies, when they're like, look, we know we're in, like, there's a company or two in Florida, right, that I knew about, and they have contingencies for when the hurricane comes and wipes us out, because it will,
yeah,
statistically, it will happen.
yep,
How do we recover? How do we get back? They make sure that there's certain stocks, there's extra machines ready to be, you know, whatever. They have their infrastructure in a cloud or in a backup place so they can go physically somewhere else to go get and reset. And they have an extra, you know, contingency place to go do the thing, because they assume, like, okay, if it comes through, it's going to wipe out this half. And as long as we're like far enough away, we can get ourselves back up and running within a couple weeks and
and I
be able to
mean,
fill our orders and things like that, you know.
I don't know who all has spent much time at Edgewater Park, but that place could absolutely house. Could I mean it's a
A stop
I know
in.
when I was dating the girl up there in Cleveland, we would just go down and just go golfing,
Hmm.
and it's a full golf. It's big. It's
Yeah.
big.
I know we
Um,
were only kind of at the clubhouse. You only see like a little bit of it.
it's
Yeah.
no, it's a full on 18-hole golf course. It's huge.
Yeah.
It could absolutely handle. It could absolutely. I mean, if push come to shove, it's speculation at this point. But you
Yeah.
know, but I don't see any reason why they wouldn't just use their own facility. You know, but
I
yeah,
think
I
the
don't know.
I think the configuration of it would be a big challenge. Just the way it's laid out would be
Yeah,
hard to do.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
agree.
the space is big enough, you're right, but I think the way it's laid out makes it more difficult than it would seem.
Yeah.
to, to go ahead. Yeah,
They're creative. I have a feeling that they'd come up with something. I mean, like the one year they had to bus everybody in, right? They bought a bus. Just
Yeah,
like, we're gonna have to bus people. It's like,
yeah,
okay, well, we'll either buy or rent the lot across the way. We'll set up a parking space for everybody. Everybody comes in, they go there. They can drive up the car to drop off for the campers and the RVs, stay over there, and you know, off we go, right?
yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it moves forward, right? Speaking of going forward, maybe everybody kind of put out. I know I didn't even really talk about the F-18, like the community stuff that happens. Like there's a Dawn Patrol, there's F-18 flights, and the giant fly-ins. Right, those seem to be the ones that I saw. Was there any more that I missed? Something that I missed? I know we as a podcast didn't really pull anything together because we had life kind of take hold and shake us around for a couple months here.
I
They did the B-17. Did you mention that one?
No.
They try to get a bunch of the B-17, the tubby B-17s
Oh,
up.
the Tubbies. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, those were
I
pretty
did,
cool.
yeah.
Okay.
I
How'd
will
that go?
say, it looked pretty cool. They had the XL one, the
Mhm.
one prototype that they've done so far, and
Right.
it looked really great in the air. And then I think I had a landing mishap. But
Yeah.
I've had I've had the chance to participate in the F-18 gaggles for the last 2 years, and it is an absolute blast flying with those guys.
Yeah.
I think it's Lucas. Lucas Crater is the one that usually calls for everybody.
Hmm.
He kind of leads the group, and I don't know Lucas beyond a couple of conversations there and
Right.
social media posts, but he does a great job, and it's fun to see him flying around too. So
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Spotting for you, I noticed it was really interesting how that went. It was like, okay, launch, go, 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 go. Okay. And as he's leading, okay, we're going to do 2, and then I'm going to start calling, and left 45 now, and right 45 now. We're going to, and it's like, okay, we're
only
going to
thing
do a
that
loop.
I was
Come
just
in
gonna say,
tight. We're going to do loop on my mark. 3, 2, mark. you know,
the
like,
only
oh,
thing missing is you listen to the Blue Angels do theirs, and it's like ready, hit it, and
yeah.
that's kind of like the only thing missing from when Lucas does it.
Have you ever done that, Jared?
I brought the Sukhoi over this year, but I was having the radio issues before I switched over to ELRS, so I didn't want to risk it. But
Yeah.
I have always had the dream, the goal of doing the F-18 flight and having one of the thrust vectoring jets, just able to, do the crazy maneuvers that they're just not quite able to do.
Right.
That'd be pretty fun.
Reinforce the wings on the F-18 before you try to do a Cobra.
The Cobra, yeah.
Ask
Yeah, let
Ben
me give you a
about
little
that one.
experience.
He definitely wants. He definitely wants to be Maverick in the F-18 pack for sure. But
Well, I watched you do the Cobra maneuver, Jared.
Yeah.
That was impressive, sir.
Thank you.
He's like coming
No,
around. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna do it." And he's like, whoosh. And he just sat up on the tail for a minute as he slid across, and then he came back around. I was like, "Oh, look at that!"
yeah, that's yeah.
So, we went a lot longer than I thought, Jared, and I'm very sorry that we really haven't had a chance to talk to you about your planes.
So it's all good, man. The Flite Fest is the event. Like that deserves a significant amount of airtime.
Absolutely.
No, I don't think we have.
Um,
Well, you want the story behind the name, or
Sure, we're there. Because Matt referred to you the last time I talked to him about Uncle Rara, and I don't.
yeah. Well, the name itself, it's a family name actually. My niece was she was very young. Um, she's like 27 or 28 now. I probably have that way off. She's a grown woman with her own kid now.
Nice.
But when she was very small, she couldn't say Brian, and it came out Rara.
Rara.
And so so my brother thought it was funny. He called me Rara, and his her dad and my parents started in on it because she was the first grandchild in the family.
Very cool.
And so Rara, it stuck, and my family still calls me
Rara.
randomly. Yeah.
Very cool.
So, and she'll call me occasionally, Uncle Rara, you gotta, we just, her husband's in the Navy, and we just moved to this base, and we're gonna be doing this, and it still cracks me up every time I hear it. And Matt wants me to start Uncle Rara's rekitting service, RC rekitting service. So.
Okay, why am I?
Or is that Joe? Was that Joe's idea?
It's probably Joe's, to be honest.
Get that, man, and that's kind of how we got this discussion, and him and we met, and just kind of like you, Brian, just kind of befriended him, and here we are. So, so a little bit of background on me. I'm actually manage a body shop now, and I've always painted. I painted for Harley Davidson for the past 20 some years, and that's Harley's changing things now, and I just kind of decided to get out, and now I'm managing a full-time body shop, and always been interested in aviation, and got my pilot's license a couple of years ago, and so here I am, and so for those of you that don't know, my correlation with Flite Test is that I was been friends with Josh and Jen for quite a few years now, and got drug into painting that B-17, and then we painted that. Yeah, so But
Yeah.
that was a fun time, man. But
That's awesome.
thanks, man. But yeah, and then ended up getting drug into painting the hovercraft that never really worked. But
They
yeah,
tried.
It
They
looked
shut-
fantastic, by the
Oh,
way.
oh,
It looked
dude.
brilliant.
Yeah. And it's like when he was first building it, I was, because I was always up there in Cleveland about once a month, and then we would always drive down whatever time and just hang out with the guys and see what was going on. And when they were first building that thing, I sat in it. I was just like, man, this thing is big. I had no idea. But yeah, and he admitted that to Trevor and I. He's like, yeah, it's just one project that just has totally failed. I can't get it to work, you know. So, but and then
That's not for trying either. They put a
No.
lot of work into that thing.
dude, they changed motors and props and everything to just boost the. And then Trevor, Trevor from the STEM tents and all that stuff. Anybody know him very well at all? But
No, I heard his name, but I'd never met him or talked to him.
he's their number one STEM teacher, and he lives up in Washington. And been friends with him for years too. And Trevor's just one of those guys that he's always a prankster, always a jokester, and he likes to geek out on aviation and engineering. And I don't know what he really does for a full-time job, but he just geeks out on all crazy anything aviation, anything from how to build a time machine, just anything. And it's infinite wisdom. We're sitting there having lunch with Josh, and Trevor goes, I just don't know why you just didn't just fill the damn thing with helium, and it's just like Josh goes, I never thought of that, but it's just, because it has that bag that goes around it. So why didn't you just fill it up with helium? I don't know if that would do anything to defer weight.
It wouldn't have been enough, but that would have
Probably.
been
Yeah.
the different thinking. Yeah,
Yeah. So
I love that. That's
we ready to
awesome.
go, Matt?
Almost. I'm fiddling, and I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I really thought I'm going to have to leave Craig in here, but I'm going to put the logo in it.
Oh,
Put the
Just trying to find ways.
Aviation.Rcnoob logo right over the top of Craig's face.
Yeah, it's the
Perfect.
best way to handle Craig, to be honest.
That's better. You can put the wing catcher logo right over his face.
yeah, no kidding.
Lee would appreciate that.
No, he always appreciates it. Anytime we mention it. Okay.
He said hi.
Let's
by
see.
the way.
Okay.